Oh, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. Welcome to the closing argument. Today is March. It's Friday, March 1st, 2024. We are glad to be back on the closing argument for another edition of the show. Hope everybody is doing well wherever they are as we continue to wish for the best for our country. But it's good. I see Ansu Salif. How you, the new guy on the block? Welcome, Ansu. I'm bringing you on. I'm bringing you on the set. Okay, Ansu. Yeah, on mute. Talk. Welcome, Ansu Salif. I can't hear you though.
I think you got it now, right?
Yeah, I'm hearing. I'm hearing now. Welcome.
Thank you.
Welcome. Good to see you. Good to join us on the closing argument. It's good to see you.
All right, so that's so it's so wonderful. Good to be on tonight with you guys, and good to be with the team. I've been sitting back all throughout from last year to this year, and been monitoring this program, especially at night hour. When I leave the radio, I go home. That's the only program I listen to at night. So I've been following you guys. Let me say thanks to the entire team.
Thank you. Good to hear that. Good to hear that. It's good to see you too. Good to share the platform with you. As we pray that you continue to be part of us and let's make this real.
Yeah.
But let me welcome some of our guests on the closing argument. Today's Friday, and a lot of people traveling. I know my boy, Peabody is traveling. He's en route to Kentucky, and I'm sure he'll join us because his flight is in the evening. Keff is running late. Chairman Ben is also um, running somehow late, but I have to come on because we got to keep the show going. Because myself, I have a busy day, but let's get it going. Let me welcome some of our guests. I see Charles Clark, uh, Belson Pay, George Yon, watching from Dallas, Texas, Christian Roberts, Matt Hoory, Chelsea Soiree, um, uh, uh, Andrew Escully, Musu, strong Joey supporter, Musu Wabi Cooper, the guy got her Joey profile, she can't change it. Wow. Watching from down under, Andrew S. Cully from Dupo Road, Zubatan, Pinsville. That way I used to live Dupo Road though. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
my dad was buried in Zubatan. Yeah. We also see the Maria Angel from Exton, Pennsylvania. I was there this morning for my doctor's appointment. Yeah, my doctor's is in Exton. I was just there this morning for my doctor's appointment. Jonathan B. Williams, Michelle Diot from Minnesota, Power Sia, um, Melvi Kai from Iowa. Um, Again, yeah, we see Big Smoke, Gode Williams, Thompson B. Boss from Sydney, Australia. Uh, Alvin Loken, the CEO, big boy Alvin, man, in Indiana. Big boy. Very proud of that young man. That man own his own company today from very, very proud of him and his wife and his family, man. Yeah. Also, I see Patrick Kennedy from Australia. Yeah, that's my research man there. Any information you want, Robert, welcome, Robert. Any information you want, Robert, Patrick Kennedy, give it to you, man. Patrick Kennedy is on top of his game. That boy get information just like this. Welcome, Duke. We see
How
Thomas
are you?
Bier from Belgium, uh, Otaka Kau from Maryland. I'll be on our end this weekend. Sabatus Young Jr. from Pipeline, Yvonne Sivas, Ambassador Jerry Trocontito from Pinsville, Jackson Zia, Joseph M. Jackson, the former CDC chairman, USA chairman, I think, from California. C.A. Dole from Norfolk, Virginia. Janelle Moore. He said, I'm not tough for government. Government speak for themselves. Christian Robert from Paris. Daxi Ducle from St. Paul's Bridge. Credible Sharif. Ang from South Dakota. Kennedy Corey. Okay, guys. Abdullah Santiago Cazola Kane from Painesville. Wow. Sekou Omen Tarawari. Marcus Doe. Christian Roberts. Mr. PL 480. Now you're in the party on Duke is. Eugenian GW. One of the powerful woman who got here too, though. Okay, guys. Let's and also my auntie Elizabeth Bowen in Maryland there. Okay, guys. Look, guys, welcome. And today's Friday. I don't know how long we'll be here because some of us guys are running around, but guys, welcome Robert, welcome Duke. Today's Friday, and let us get it going. Tell us what happened at your end. Tell us how you feeling. How's your day? How's everything at your end? Robert, I like the glasses, man.
Oh,
Cool.
thank you, man.
It's
I
cool.
put it on. That's my reading glasses. I put it on every now and then.
Yeah, you buddy.
Yeah.
Yeah, the old age and the eyes ain't easy, man.
Well, I'm not close there yet, but we'll see what happens. But look, it's good to be back, man. It's good to be back on. I was mad that I couldn't finish up the show on what was it Wednesday? On Wednesday, I had to jump off for work purposes, but it's good to be back. This is the closing argument, and this is the closing argument. That's what it is, Um, it's kind of wet at my end in Atlanta. Had an amazing, productive day yesterday. Just been around some great leaders within the company, brainstorming ideas and things like that, and it just felt good, man. To be able to say I'm from Liberia, man. I'm Liberia 100%, and I know that whether it's in Australia or any parts of the states, or Asia, wherever. I know that there are amazing, talented Liberians out there representing the flag of our country in many ways. And so, whatever you do, man, I just want to leave this word of encouragement with you today. Be dedicated in what you do. Be honest, be sincere, hustle hard, and just keep going, man. And one day you get your break. To our friends back home in LIB, wherever you find yourself, man, that's not where you belong. That's not your destiny. Keep working hard. Keep looking for opportunities. Keep reaching out to folks. And you never know what could possibly happen, man. Just keep doing what you can do, and keep praying about it. And you never know. God can bless anyone, and God can bless people who are actually sincere and honest in what it is that they're doing. So that's my day. That's my day.
Sounds good, man. Good. Well, it's very inspiring. It's more, you motivate people when you saw the good things coming from that end. That's good, though. Duke, what's up with you?
Yes, man. Today I hold close to my heart Mr. Cummings and his family on the loss of his mother, Mrs. A.O. Cummings,
Yeah, yeah.
woman who has invested a lot of time and resources into him, a small business owner in Liberia who went above from the young to make sure that her son became, a man of integrity, a man with substance and high value. So identify with that family and mid her soul, and I pray for God's continued blessings upon him as he goes through this tough time of bereavement. So, Mr. Cummings, we're here with you. Our thoughts and prayers and condolences to you and your family. But overall, man, Tommy, it's always good to be on a closing argument. We bring it here today, and hopefully this is another opportunity to do just that. It's always good, hanging here with the guys and speaking about issues impacted our country. So looking forward to that.
Yes, Mr. Cummings, his statement is he said this morning, Mommy, as we called her, was called to rest. As we grieve her loss, we remain thankful for her prayers, love, protection, warmth, and kindness that she so freely shared with us and many others. We thank God for giving her 95 years of a beautiful life. We will miss her very much. And the Cummings announcement, they announced the death of the mother, Mrs. Ayobi Cummings, which side event occurred this morning in the United States of America. Yes, I sent him a message of condolences to also, and also his son Boyka too, and I acknowledge it. And it was a tough one for the family today. He loved his mother. She loves him. And 95 years, she really lived a really good life. We all pray. Some of us we pray to reach that age, you know. But just want to say our condolences to Mr. Cummings and his family. And I wish him all the best. And as they go through the difficult time in their lives, that God will comfort them and that the mother's soul will rest in peace. I'm sure the chairman got something to say about Mr. Cummings' mother too.
Yes, thank you, Tomalin, and it's good to be here. Yes, our heart and prayers goes out to the Cummings family. Uh, his mom, I believe, lived a great and rewarding life, and it's always hard. There's a saying that say we actually should cry at birth and celebrate at death, right? But often humans we do the opposite. But I want to believe that the Cummings family, it's in a very, very difficult place right now, and I know it's because when you lose someone as close as your mother or your father, in this case, their mother and their matriarch. We send our condolences to him, to the family, like you said, Tommy, to Borkai, to Ayo, to the rest of the family. Those of us who know the Cummings family, we know how close knit they are, and what a strong pillar Mrs. Cummings was to that family. So we want to send our prayers and thoughts to Mr. Cummings, to his family, and to say, stay strong, keep hot, and that at the end of the day, she lived a good life. That's, I think, for me, that is the key out of this. She lived a very, very long life, and she got a chance to see her children, her grandchildren, her great grandchildren grow up to be successful and impactful citizens of this world. So we just want to say to them, our thoughts and prayers are with you. But yeah.
Great. Yes, gentlemen, let's get it going, man. Look, what's up? What's happening in the first story, man? Let's talk about King George, Karen Cape counties. That's the trending issue. What's happening in King George? Ben, any update from King George?
I don't know. I haven't really gotten any update. The only thing that I know, I've been told, I was following Julius J's page, and I know he mentioned that from his investigative reporting is that the number of deaths unofficially is around four persons. They are yet to see, according to his post, and I'm quoting his post, they are yet to see any evidence of, since the government said that people have guns and they were firing at the police, but they're yet to see any evidence of any police person being injured by way of a gunshot wound. What from his investigation, he said what have been told, what he knows is that people were throwing stones. The population, I mean, the citizens were throwing stones at the police. But having said that, it is a tragedy. It is sad. It's something that we can't continue to condone in our country. People have a right to protest, but when things get violent, it is something that we should all speak against. I understand that the police station got burned in King George. I think that is not right. It's an act that should be condemned. But with that being said, any attempt or any heavy-handedness on the part of the police, I think should also be condemned. People have a right to assemble and to express their grievances. But we wait to hear what the investigation will come out. I don't like to prejudge and to preempt these things or to jump ahead of these things, but I just know that this is not a good sign. This doesn't all go well for the image of the country. Like I always say, we live in a global village now. These things are no longer what happened in King George. We stay in King George. It's public knowledge. It's on the international wires, and these are not the kind of news that we want to see coming out of our country, or people will want to hear coming out of our country. So, but yeah, that's all that I was able to to figure. I tried reaching out to Gregory Coleman. I have not been able to get him, just to get some input from him, because I know they said that if they had gotten any updated information on the death toll, they would have informed the country if that number went up. But from what Julius J is saying is that the total confirmed death, at least from his investigation, courtesy of OKFM, is that there are 4 people have lost their lives, and our hearts goes out to those families also.
Wow. I know yesterday the press conference they had with the Minister of Information and the Inspector General and the press secretary to the president. At the time, they said there were one fatality, and I think the 2 police officers was injured in the hospital. But I mean, it's news that they have now reached the number of 4. Hopefully, while we're on the show, we can get some more information on it. But guys, you guys want to weigh in what about this present status of the situation in Kinjaw, Robert?
Yeah.
Yeah. So look, it's always an unfortunate case whenever death is involved in any protest, and it is unfortunate. I don't think that any Liberian should have to lose his or her life, when protesting. But it's also important that the government understand the rights of its citizens to freely assemble, to demand from the government or public companies or private companies, for that matter, right? And even if things kind of get sort of out of control, it's important that you have security apparatus who understand how to kind of resolve or calm things down without the use of force, or may I say, the unnecessary use of force, especially deadly force in this case. So I hope that a thorough investigation is conducted, and those who agitated this at this level is held accountable. But the piece here, though, that I think we should focus on is why were they protesting? And I think this issue, Tomalin, as expands to the bad labor practices that we've continued to encourage in our country, where you have foreign companies come in, they make millions of dollars from our people, yet and still they are not even hiring these people. The money is being made in Liberia. Liberians in these respective counties are not primary benefiting from these, and the money goes right back out because most of these contractors are not Liberian. This was the purpose of this protest. They were demanding that they hire qualified Liberians in Bee Mountain, and the company have not done that. They started this expansion last year. All right, they've had over 6,000 4,000 employees with over 6,000 contractors, and a fraction of those folks are actually from Grand Cape Mount and Liberian. And so the government have got to speak on these people's behalf. These companies are not listening to them. They are not on the table for these concession agreements. Or we have labor laws in our country. Look at Ghana, and I'm sorry to insert Ghana in this thing. Why is it that Liberians who have lived in Ghana for over 25, 30 years can barely get a work permit to even purchase a home, right? Because they have very strong labor laws to the extent where it's selfish, but it's selfish for all of the right reasons, to protect the citizens of Ghanaians first. That's what it is. They put the people interest first above all else. When are we going to start being a bit selfish with our resources, with companies that come into our country, make millions of dollars, but treat our people like they're nothing? This is wrong. This is wrong. And I'm hearing that 2 have been dead, over 16 have been injured so far. And I hope that the government gets to the bottom of this. But this is unfortunate. My condolences to the families who have lost lives over here, And I hope that people are held accountable for it. But there's a bigger discussion here with regards to these companies. Are they treating our people right? And should something be done about it? I hope so.
Okay, Duke, what's your take on the situation in Kima?
Yeah, Tomalin. First and foremost, I know I followed, the entire event. I must say though, I commend the president in his response, right, identifying the people of Grand Kipma and asking for an immediate investigation. I do know that the press secretary, had some sort of media engagement along with other members of the current administration to provide some level of clarity in terms of what transpired and pushing for the general public to wait for the details as they have commenced an investigation. I do like the fact that Gregor Coleman did state that they needed to move additional police officers in the area to be able to help with that. And I think a lot of times with those rural areas, they're so understaffed. There's not much resources given to those, different units. And so they become overwhelmed when you see this. With that being said, I think it's unfortunate. This heavy force by police is something that, needs to be avoided at all costs, especially during a crucial time when people, have concerns and you see, some of these issues over time. So hopefully, in addition to holding people accountable, the proper training, given as well. But Robert struck an important point, and I think at the end of the day, we have to go back to the root cause of these issues. These issues are happening because of the decisions, the lack of efforts put forth by public officials to do the proper vetting and hold these companies accountable. One of the things that I really hate about these concession deals, and especially these investment deals, majority of our lawmakers and people who are tied to those deals, they're only concerned about how they can pass, those companies and those particular deals through our lawmakers and through whatever body, collect the checks that put the portion of the compensation for closing those deals and then move on. In the end, the people are stuck with these inaccuracies and these incompetent institutions or corporations. And at the end of the day, they're not done. One thing that I researched last night, Tomlin, because I wanted to, further understand, how we got here. And I saw in 2023, there was some sort of engagement with legislative branch and former officials of the government that was pushing for an extension, I believe the renewal of the B Mountain Agreement, I think for 23 years or so. And some of the concerns are, exactly what transpired, the lack of proper living conditions for workers, the lack of hospitals as included in the initial arrangement, wherein that companies should have constructed that, not trained, providing opportunities for Liberians and stuff. But those things are included in the deals. Those are things that we have to make sure that the implementing partners, various ministries, should be doing the job and making sure that these companies are held in compliance. But overall, it's an unfortunate situation. I would think that further investigations and look, if there will have to be tough action taken against those corporations, what's there to lose? Because you're not providing the kind of job opportunities for Liberians. You're not really developing those areas. You're only collecting the profits that you make on those different concession areas and then, pocketing it along with your own international staff. That's something we need to protect, the loss of Liberia and those Liberians who need to have the fair share. But overall, it's an unfortunate situation. I definitely hope that besides just talking that investigation is going on, that there's some kind of in-depth understanding of what transpired, how we can prevent that from further happening, and those who needs to be held accountable need to be held accountable to the full extent of the law.
Peewee, can you give me?
Yes, thank you. I think it's quite unfortunate the situation that unfolded at the Beard Mountain in Grand Kitman County. I listened basically to the makeup boss, the information minister, saying that investor wouldn't pull into the country if people were to come out and he sounded as if he was trying to justify. It's quite unfortunate, justify the actions because he said police officers themselves got wounded and the rest of it, and folks should not do these things because investors wouldn't go to the country with the kind of information coming out of Liberia. It's quite unfortunate, actually, the situation yesterday. But that reminds me of Pierre, quite a couple of weeks or months ago. He was on the very class reloaded, giving mis and disinformation about the very weird government. I want to believe today, if Mr. Peabody didn't know that with his statement, investor will have also said the same that you are trying to justify yesterday. But yet, we need to go back to the issue that precipitated this unseen process at the Deal Mountain first and foremost. Now, the MDA, and most of these things not basically from the local folks at those concession areas. The MDA is very clear. There are social responsibility basically from these institutions. When these concession companies or institutions move into those local communities, their commitment, they are part of their social responsibility to sometimes construct schools, build certain roads, construct some critical bridges that is tying to major areas in the concession areas. If they don't meet their part of the bargain, I mean, it's difficult here. We should not arbitrarily send conclusion out to the people and saying that the people should not do these things. If the concession company of Bill Mountain did not make up side of the contract, the MDA, or her own social corporate responsibility, what do you expect the folks to do? And the government was set in that kind of a lame dog type of tactics, that laissez-faire attitude, and they won't do nothing. When the people start to move in, then they say the folks want to commit chaos and the rest of that. The government was just very insensitive. The people started this. I spoke to one of the folks that I know very well. I work along with the company. He called me personally to say the people started complaining almost 3 weeks ago. 3 weeks. And then when they came out, then you move, and the police also moving in now. I mean, we need to understand the force, the proportionality of the force of those that were demonstrating did not meet the kind of a lethal response the police went with. It's quite unfortunate. With the way we need to justify between using lethal force and non-lethal force on people that are not armed to, I mean, the police are trained enough to deploy certain tactics to curb some of this unfortunate situation. But the thing we saw yesterday is unfortunate, and I'm calling on the government to ensure, because we need to go back to the process about the MDA. It's simple. If you go to that, you will solve most of these problems. You cannot abandon the people. You didn't build them school. You didn't get them the appropriate health sector. And the people are talking about these things in the very MDA. But the government needed to. What's the role of the Ministry of Internal Affairs, first and foremost, meeting the locals? What's the role of the Ministry of Lands and Minister of Mines? And what's their role, for instance, for the office of the president when the people complain? I mean, it's unfortunate. The Minister of Information should stop defending the police act. The act yesterday of the police was quite unfortunate to use those kind of a lethal force on defenseless people. And you come and justify it, Mr. Pierre. It's unfortunate.
Tomalin, if I can quickly, give a push. Look, clearly there's got to be a better way to deal with these things, and using deadly force or something, and then justifying that is absolutely wrong. But let's be very honest here. Part of the reason why we have this situation in Grand Cape now is because of the previous administration.
No,
and if you have that,
no, listen, you need to stop. No.
Tomalin,
Stop.
Tomalin, there's a video there, and I believe is on. I will find it and probably say it's on there. When Sambatwe and other representatives of the CDC government had gone to ask for the extension of the operations of B Mountain, I think in October 2023. Part of those concerns that were raised by members of our legislative branch are the reason why we had the protest yesterday. Poor working conditions, not honoring the obligations of the company as agreed upon via those contracts that we have. So if we're going to look at the issue in this totality, we have to be honest. Now, this is not justification.
I mean, be a quick intervention, Ben. Other people are coming, please.
No.
Yeah, you spoke. Yeah, you are just trying to come up with intervention.
Peewee, we'll have enough time to go around.
Listen, you cannot just listen. We're having a conversation here. I think we have a little bit of time. I came on the show earlier. I respected the time of our show. You came a little on. Let's.
That should not be the justification. Go ahead.
What I'm saying here, it's not justification. I mean, you justify when we hurt people and kill those auditors, right? That's hypocrisy. When those auditors were executed, you didn't have the courage enough to call on the government to hold those responsible accountable. You are undersure when we talk about George Weah laughing at Gifty Lama on the pulpit. What did you say? You said nothing about it. You know, this is how we need to be genuine in our engagement. I don't care how we may have different opinions in terms of governance, but we have to be truthful. You support the George Weah execution of the auditors, the Matthew Onis, the Innes, the Odell Sherman, all of the people that were killed. Did you stand up to speak for them? You did not speak for them. It is wrong what happened yesterday. There should be no justification using deadly force on Liberians who are operating within the context of the constitutional right. You know, should not be frowned upon, and it should be encouraged. And those who are responsible from the government side should be prosecuted.
Yeah. Quickly, Ben, before you can come in, please, let me just keep on to this. Quick and full. Let me remind you that President Weah administration, President Weah Norris administration did not play any role whatsoever in the demise of those individuals at the time. And let me step here for the record that the government of President Weah did move in expeditiously to conduct what we call an investigative mechanism into the same process. And we conducted an autopsy, and there was a report that was read by the Ministry of Justice about an autopsy done on the mortal remains of those individuals. The government did not play no role whatsoever in doing that, and the government was very open to that process, very much open. The president did not at any time stigmatize anybody that were involved in any other situation. The president was very mindful and decorous of statement he made at the time because he believed his office, the office of the president of the bureau. The government was engaged. Via the Ministry of Justice and other civil society actors got involved. There was an autopsy, there was a report on the demise of those individuals. Quickly, the issue about what you just spoke about, the former finance minister and the rest of the folks went to Beer Mountains. Correct. They engaged the folks, they engaged the local leaders. And that's what they were, because at the time, the situation was very much alarming. They were preparing to demonstrate and what have you. What did the government do? The government engaged them and they quieted the entire situation down and said to them, they would compel the institution to move on in. When this government came in, almost 6 weeks now, the people started this process 3.5, almost 4 weeks ago. They didn't do nothing whatsoever about that. The government's supposed to be what we refer to as continuity. Now, the past government maintained the process. They showed that those concession areas, what you need to do as per your corporate social responsibility, you need to keep to those kind of issues. And that's what the government did. But you were very careless and irresponsible, and that's why the awkward scenario happened yesterday. You did not do that. What you did was to resort to using lethal force on these people and killing most of them, including a very innocent child. I mean, it's unfortunate, right? So you need to take this responsibility. President Weah and his administration put into place legal mechanism to defend and protect Liberians living in the Benin of the Republic of Liberia. You are not doing so. Thank you.
So let me just say something quickly, and because I have to take a small break to pick up my daughter. But let me say this. I think we should not. One of the things that I think we should try to stay away from in this process is trying to, one, justify any use of force, because again, like I said, we live in a global village now, right? Two, the fact of the matter here is we have a fundamental problem when it comes to concessionaires in our country. Fundamental problem that spans across governments from the beginning of the founding of our republic to where we are today. I think that is where well-meaning Liberians should have this conversation. Tell me where in the world and how in the world should citizens be protesting, demanding good living environments, fair, equal wages, providing opportunities that Liberians should have access to? Where in the world are local citizens supposed to be going to go demonstrate to get those benefits? That is the role of their government. Their government, when they're signing these concessions, should make sure that these things are in there. It should be ironclad. It should be stuck in there. And guess what? There have to be periodic review of these processes. And what we have had in our country is a consistent failure on the part of administration after administration, the legislature, and other stakeholders, because at the end of the day, there's a lot of conflict of interest that goes around here. So On the issue of the police, that's why I said I was waiting to hear again from Gregory Coleman, right? The police had no business. Again, like I said, people say the people fire on the police. Like Julius J. Again, I want to believe Julius J. I think he's a credible journalist. I've never really heard Julius J. doing things. According to what I read from him, is that there has been no evidence whatsoever to show that people, the citizens, fired onto the police. They say all the evidence point to the fact that the citizens were throwing stones, which in itself is not right. But I don't think it justifies the police opening suppressive fire on the people. When I saw the picture of those shells, those what it mean? The ammunition shells, that's automatic weapon. I asked the other day, what happened to rubber bullets? What happened to rubber pellets? What happened to the police should only use deadly and lethal force if there is no way out. So this notion, I know this notion about, oh, it was the we administration or this administration and this other person. All of these things for me, at the end of the day, the we administration is not in office. The responsibility, and I like what the people say at what PR said at the press conference. It is their responsibility now, right? The only reason you see people reminding them of some of the statements that are being made now is because at the end of the day, some of these same things happened and they were the proponent of these things in the past. That's why you got to be careful what you put out there. Because at the end of the day, like we can always say, governance will always come and it will go. Governments will come and governments will go. You are now in a situation and you're not talking about investors. Whether we like it or not, this is not the kind of picture we want out there for our country. This is not. He is right. It will scare investors.
It will scare investors away. That's a fact.
No, it is a fact.
I mean, it is a fact. It's
He
not
didn't know
something-
this when he was saying it yesterday.
But what I'm trying to say, and I'm going to end on this note, guys.
Yes.
What I'm trying to say is enough of the nitpicking. Then for me, what matters here, what is important here, are those people in Kinjal who tonight, probably the people who lost their lives, those families are grieving. Let the government get to work and fix whatever the situation is. Engage the management, try to solve this problem so that we don't have people. This is not only a B Mountain. Other concessionaires always protesting in Liberia. We need to find a solution to this thing and let's move forward rather than all this back and forth.
And I think the government already said.
Let me come in quick, right? The first thing, let me say this. Concerning all the deaths that happened under the we administration, the former justice minister just sent me all the report that they concluded. So if anybody wants that report, including
there was a report
coming now, yeah, the one for all the report he just sent it to me, Mr. Dane. We want all the report from all the people that died, Batin Yinswa, George from Boto, Gifty Lama. I have it here. Just give me a head up on WhatsApp. I can forward to you the report. The government concluded the reports on these people's death.
Tomalin.
I come in. I do all the reports from the death that occurred during the Weir administration. The government, the former justice minister sent it to me, and I can forward to you. The second thing is that I just spoke to the Minister of Information. He said that he spoke to the last update he got from the Inspector General of Police is that still one death. But he said that there was another death, but was internal. That somebody stabbed somebody, and the person who did the stabbing has been arrested and brought to Monrovia. So I'm trying to contact the Inspector General of Police. Hopefully I can get him because the information minister was quoting him that update he gave him that up to now the government of Liberia maintains that one death that was done, but the Inspector General of Police. So we can get hold of him. We can get hold of him. We can get update on it. But the information minister, as far as is concerned, the last time he spoke to the police director, this is why they told him. And the second death was an internal death among the people. I think somebody stabbed someone. The person who stabbed that person has been brought to Monrovia. That's the information I just got. But go ahead.
So I wanted to say that the second death, and maybe the information minister can possibly come on and clarify. But from all indications, the second death was as a result of a stray bullet, Tomalin, that hit a protester, and he was later announced dead at the hospital. And so I haven't heard anything about an internal stabbing of anyone. But the second death was as a result of a stray bullet. But I wanted to read. I wanted to read section 11.2a of the MDA Mineral Development Agreement signed between the government and B Mountain. It states that the company may directly or by contract with a responsible provider of security services establish, manage, and maintain its own assets and employee security and protection service for the purpose of protecting assets in the production area and in the immediate vicinity of other locations at which company has or maintains property and assets through its own security force, and to do so always in accordance with law and rules and regulations promulgated by the Ministry of Justice relating to security forces. Such security force shall not bear arms and shall at all times operate subject to the authority of and or in coordination with the Liberian National Police. Now, what I've also gathered here is that from a source that B Mountain, in fact, have hired securities not in consultation with the Liberian National Police, who have consistently carried arms. And this didn't just start. This did not just start. And I've also gathered that some of these security apparatus are in clean clothes foreign securities. Look, I think that what we have done, and I'm not going to point fingers at any government yet, right? Because if we stop finger pointing, then the question is, it was just not too far ago when the opposition in Unity Party were heavy critics of the unprofessionalism displayed at all times consistently by the police under George Weah administration. The use of force, excessive force, unnecessarily. The this rash reaction to protesters, right? And the lack of proper training is a display was a display. They criticized these things, and it was a reflection of, according to them at the time, of the police chief and the administration at large. And so the least you would expect here under a new administration in these instances is that they know better. They have quickly hit the ground running and have put in place some sort of guide to ensure that police handle protesters accordingly. This protest, from all witnesses so far, started very peacefully. And by the way, whose side is the police on? Yeah, is the police on the side of the people of Cape Mount, or is the police on the side of B Mountain, a company that have robbed not only those folks in Grand Cape Mount, but have robbed the country at large? I mean, why are these concession agreements? The issue is not that these things are not best practice labor laws are not inserted in these contracts. They are. The question here is, are they respected by these companies? One, two, if violated, is the government of Liberia holding these companies accountable as per these contracts? And we know this is not the case because, like Duke alluded to earlier, they are only concerned about themselves and what interests them. So I beg to differ. I think the information minister is a great guy. Trust me. PI is a great guy. I have no quarrel with him. But I think that he should move diligently. Get the facts. Get the facts. Verify them before you speak on this issue. There is nothing yet to defend about. What happened out there is completely wrong. It should be condemned. And in fact, the president must lead on this matter. There should be at no time where citizens are shot at only because they are demanding. And by the way, I'm always for this protest. I'm always for, look, I think the government must address people's concern. I think that there are different ways to diplomatically engage government and engage these companies to get best results. I'm always for this because I understand that these protests more than likely will end violently. I'm not sure why, but this is the case. And this is because we have citizens who, and this is at no fault to these folks, who at times will get violent. And we have a police department that lack the requisite training when it comes to handling violence, when it comes to actually diffusing situation, when it comes to actually, calming a violent situation where it does not end into deadly force. But there's a reason why these folks are out there. They're out there because B Mountain and others have not respected their contracts. They have not treated these folks accordingly. And in their own country, they are being treated like foreigners and refugees. This is wrong. We must have a government that stands up for its people. We must have a government that responsibly tells these companies, this is not going to happen on our watch, not in our country. If you think you get an easy lunch and an easy pass, take that elsewhere, but not in Liberia. Other countries are doing it. Liberia can do it as well. We've given these guys too many passes. They've robbed our country. They're making millions of dollars, millions that they dare not make in other countries. And yet and still they have refused to treat our people with dignity and respect. This is wrong. And I hope that those responsible are held accountable for their actions.
Okay, let me restate again. Or concerning the deaths of Gifty Lama, Batin Yinswa, and George Fabonto, the former Minister of Justice forwarded in the reports for an investigation of this death, the cause and everything that according to the government of Liberia. If anyone interested, hit me on WhatsApp. I will share with you. Number one. Number two, the Minister of Information just said that the police director told him that they still have up to date one death. The second death was internal something, and the person had been arrested.
Yeah, and Tomalin, let me say this: the former Justice Minister had all of the opportunity to have appeared on the show, or made himself available to the media to discuss those issues. What it did was they remained silent and they play politics.
Information, please. Information, please.
Information,
please.
No.
Don't get misleading information.
Please,
you are giving misleading information. He did that.
We have in a U.S. government report.
He did that.
We have in a U.S. government report wherein the execution of those auditors were listed as some of the reasons why Liberia and the current government, right, was engaging in all of the necessary things that was happening. You remember the U.S. government released, Tomalin, several reports. I hope you can also direct the public to where they can find the U.S. government report.
Do 1 minute. Let me clarify something. The reports he gave, that reports were concluded during the administration of President We are not right now though.
No.
I come in now. The reports are something that I requested for. I said I want to know. I want copy of this report. So the report he gave were conducted during the We are administration. So
Timothy, I just said to us on this show
right now. He just sent reports. He just completed reports.
So tell me, this is my point. This is my point. How often on the show that we talked about those same things and the government did not present all of the information, including making themselves available for us to discuss these issues?
The government did.
The government did.
Government did.
Well, the government did so good enough that it ended up in a U.S. government report wherein they were being looked at, right?
We've been in U.S. government report for almost
in the execution of those auditors, right? You can play politics all you want. What we're not going to do is ignore history, right? When we're on the path of righting the wrong. Again, I will say this. We are in an era wherein the Constitution provides, right, all of the rights of the people to protest. And we should not use life ammunition on people who have legitimate concerns. I agree. Those who are in violation from the police, for the current government, if the investigation is done and it's shown that, those who were there were in error, they should be prosecuted to the full extent of the law. But what I'm not going to do, though, is to ignore the fact that some of the reasons why we're here today is because of the missteps of the previous administration. And look, you want to talk about, you know, the information minister making a reckless comment? Let's talk about the former president. The former president of Liberia, Robert, when Gifty Lama died, or those auditors were found in the car, you know what, President, we are on the pulpit? Oh, yeah, that woman down there, she was there with her boyfriend or having sex in the car, and it's oh, Joe, we are kidding. While an investigation was being conducted, the president did not show respect for the process. The president was condescending. He was disrespectful. This is the kind of leadership that we survived over the past 6 years. In contrast, I said here previously when I was responding to this issue, what I do consider as the right way forward, that the current president did acknowledge that something happened and that his government should investigate. I like the fact that the police director, along with other people who are tasked with investigation, did send additional force or help to calm the situation down. We look forward to further investigation, but we're not going to ignore. No, you want to talk about brutalizing protester? June 7th, the government of Liberia went and sent security forces. They brought in mercenaries from overseas, right?
Tomalin, can I come in now?
You can. Liberia and beat what's the young man from Soup, right? They did that. They violated the rights of protesters. It's not a justification, but all of these things we need to do before so we can right the wrongs going in the future. This is fact.
Let's have on Sylvester.
Yeah, quickly, Tony. It's that's quite unfortunate. Yeah, Duke is not very good in getting the history of information that we put out yesterday, and he's so passionate about this process and his quest to defend this government. He's trying to have the issue of defending this government to come out with this kind of a half-baked and haphazard story about the past. But yes,
this government disagrees.
Please protect me, man. I listen to you. Please protect me, dude.
Your people end up obsessions because the U.S. government agree with everything that I said.
So please protect me, dude. Yeah, please. So basically, that's part of the issue here. But there was a systematic process by the past government to ensure that now most of those misinformation and disinformation that were peddled at the time by the lead of even the current information minister on the class reloaded against the Weah-led administration. All of those things basically came out in some of the U.S. State Department report and other reports that came against the government. But what did the government do? The government went through a systematic investigation of these issues and came up with findings. The government did not just stop there. The government performed an autopsy on most of those bodies that were very suspicious, right? One of those kind of suspicious circumstances. They wanted to allay the fear of the concern of the public. We did investigate the issue, and the Minister of Justice had a press conference where the Minister of Justice systematically brought up the report from the autopsy, conducted on the remains of those individuals. The government did that. The government did not. Now, there was a systematic process. The government was never operating incommunicado. The government did not do so, but rather allowed the process. And let me also state here that the former president did not speak the way you just sounded that he said about somebody doing this. The president did not do that. What did the president do? The president was very mindful of the circumstances involving the way the mysterious circumstances surrounding the process in the vehicle. The president stated that they should allow the security people to conduct the affairs that unfolded on Broad Street. President Weah did not speak condescendingly about the process. He didn't do so. But rather, the president instituted a democratic system of governance and ensured that every Liberian had their way, both in terms of protestation and the rest of the folks that were taking part in our democracy. The president did not stop. He did not stampede the process about violating the rest of Liberians. He didn't do it. And that's why we allow folks in the very early stage of his administration. Folks came out to demonstrate the June 2018, 2019 protests. The government allowed those people to come out. Even when it came to conducting what we call proper policing in terms of the police methodology, rare police regimentation science, it was President Weah administration that failed demonstrators with water and food in terms of they were chanting. Some of them attempting to throw stone at police officers. What did the police do? The police conducted those lines to ensure that public policing, community policing is the way forward. We gave them food, we gave them water, and the rest of that. The government of Liberia, via the stewardship of President Weah, did not violate the rights of Liberians. We engaged them, we interacted with them. Most of those State Department reports that you alluded to came out because folks on Class Reloaded and the rest of it, including the current Minister of Information, they gave mis and disinformation about the government of Liberia.
So
That
the,
was, that
the
was
US, so the
I
US
don't know
does
many-
not have a structure
no,
and it's
Guys,
not
guys,
what people say.
let limit. I will talk. I mean,
yeah, and I will rest that quickly. And I will rest that quickly.
Please.
Most of the report that you see coming up from fundings that only see it come up, most go through the human rights report that came last time. They said these were reports from web community radio stations and the rest of it, and social media feeds. They collect report from them. So I just
Winfred, we've been talking about the issue in Kenjor Kimau with the Abi Mountain, and then also I just decided to talk about the report about all those who died during the Weah administration. The former Attorney General and Minister of Justice, Councillor Dane, shared a report, and just talking that just to clarify that there are reports from this. The investigation were conclusive according to the Minister of Justice, so the reports are there. But Wes, you want to weigh in on the issue situation in Kimau? The latest I just got from the Information Minister is that calm has returned to the area, and they still believe according to the report from the police director, there's still one death. A second death, but they said was in China. Somebody stabbed someone, and the person had been arrested and brought to Monrovia. So that's what we're hearing. I'm trying to get in touch with Gregory and to do our own due diligence, at least to get here what he's saying, because Robert just said there are more than one. Other people are saying four.
Yeah.
We don't want to. I mean, he won't say that we didn't reach out to him to get his side of the story. So we want to, but we are waiting.
Thank you, Tomalin, and it is great to be here. Great to be among all of these fine gentlemen.
Interrupt you. Congratulations! At least you made it to April what?
April 13th. But I mean, we can talk about it.
Congratulations!
Congrats, man! Congratulations! If you need us to come out there, man, let us know. We'll come out there and knock some doors, man.
Oh, for sure. Let you guys know. We can talk about it. Yeah, because we're not out of the woods yet, as the saying goes. But we're very confident where we are now and how things have turned. Things are turning out. Things are shipping in a really good and positive direction. So I mean, we can talk about it later. But with respect to your question, Tomalin, and the conversation that has been held about the unfortunate situation in Kit Mount with B Mountain. There's no question about it unequivocally for the government or any authority to use live rounds on protesters, especially on armed protesters, from what I'm gathering. I did hear that calm has returned to the area. But this is a situation that definitely needs to be investigated. I've reached out to the police director myself. I have not heard back from him yet. I'm waiting to hear if we get any word of what else is taking place there. And this is an opportunity now for the government to jump on and come on and do a full and thorough investigation about what happened, what led to what happened there, at that concession, and there need to be consequences. People need to be held accountable for what took place there. And I mean, it all sides, of the equation. What led to the chaos there, to the violent demonstration that that killed someone, that led to the death of someone, but also the vandalism, because I heard there was some vandalism. I'm not sure which came first, whether the vandalism was before. I mean, folks should protest. I think folks should, folks have the right, the constitutional right to protest. But I don't think that constitutional right gave them the right to vandalism, if that is what really happened. We're burning down yellow machines and touching the yellow machine. I mean, we saw what happened with the with the army wives, disrupting the flow and the economy of the entire country. I mean, uh, one of the unfortunate things in Liberia, now I'm not blaming the protesters, I'm not blaming the demonstrators. I think they have legitimate rights to protest and voice out their concern. But my issue is with the demonstration, the violent demonstrations sometimes that result from some of these protest actions. I mean, we saw with uh, uh, the soldier wives blocking the roads to the international airport, partially disrupting the economy. I mean, those things are unacceptable. I mean, you can channel your grievances in a very professional, productive way. I know tension can flare up. These kinds of types of situation, but we need to be held. All of us need to be held accountable. I mean, those equipment are expensive equipment. I mean, it's not worth the life of one person, but to go and start touching them and vandalizing the place, that is also acceptable, and we also have to condemn that. But I will call on the government to do a full and thorough investigation as to what led to this and how can the grievances that the folks have been demonstrating, for that those grievances can be addressed, and they can meet with the company and address the concerns. I mean that these strikers have. So that's my position on it. But I think the overall law and order in the country, we really need to be addressed. I mean, we can't be having people disrupt the flow of activities and vandalize the places just because they feel aggrieved. So that too need to be addressed.
Okay, guys, anybody want to comment on this? Can George before we move on?
Yeah, one last thing to Tomalin. I think if the information minister is watching, I think he needs to probably use the word allege. I don't want him to. He just started work. I'm not sure if he's been
No,
confirmed.
but he said what he got, he was told by the Inspector General, so he was just.
It should still be alleged.
Yeah, exactly. It can still be alleged because that's misinformation.
And remember, the
Tomalin,
police will not indict his stuff.
exactly.
The
The
police will never indict his
information
stuff.
there have been no story about any. I think that, and I could be wrong. I don't want to, but if this is a political strategy or a talking point, they need to cut that out. There's been 2 confirmed deaths. The second death was as a result of a stray bullet. This is what I've heard from witnesses on the scene. A straight bullet. And so if they need to go to the hospital to get autopsy done or whatever, then they should be very careful with that words here, right? And like I said, he's a great guy. But let's not get misinformation out there to the people. The police shot at protester, and there was a straight bullet who hit the second person, and they died later that day as a result of that. There have been nothing as far as stab or anything of that nature. But in closing on this issue, I just want to say that to Duke's point, Duke, I just want to say I understand your sentiments. But look, one of the favorite things, my good friend and brother, and I this guy, I hold this guy close, right? George Lobo, whenever we fearlessly argue then about what Ellen Jones and Soli did not do or what Joseph Boakai did not do in 12 years, this is what he said. That's why they elected George Weah. That's why they elected Hope and Change. And so this goes the same way. This is why George Weah got defeated. The fact that he remains a populist, the fact that he's still a very popular figure in Liberia and his politics. And anyone, I think Ben indicated this the other day on the other show. If anyone thinks that George Weah's political career has ended as a result of this election's result, I said that you're living in dreamland, right? because that's far from the case, right? But this is the reason why Liberian people opted to elect Joseph Boakai, an experienced public figure, public servant who's been around politics for decades. He's been vice president for over 12 years. And the expectation is that the Unity Party have got some really intelligent and sophisticated minds to fix the mess created by the past administration. And so when surrogates or anyone for that matter, comments and attempt to divert the conversation into this thing of hypocrisy. We can talk about hypocrisy and all of these things, but the fact of the matter is, this same issue that was criticized under the George Weah administration has been exhibited today. Under the administration that was voted to do it differently and to do it better. So what have changed? And I think this is a legitimate concern here. That they continue to do things the same way, and by a large extent, they have continued to play into what many might say the George Weah playbook. And so, if that's the case, then why was George Weah defeated? Why was Joseph Boakai elected? And so, look, I would suggest that we drop these excuses, because every time these excuses are put out there, trust me, there's a stronger argument as to what. Guess what? This is now under your watch. This is now Joseph Boakai's Liberia. Joseph Boakai is president. This is not Gary Coleman's police department. This is no longer the CDC-led government. You must do it right, and you must be held accountable for the actions that are going on right now. What happened 3 months ago, 3 weeks ago, or 6 months ago, doesn't matter. It's all in the past now. We can talk about it. But what's happening right now? What's been done differently right now? What kind of leadership has been exhibited right now? These are the questions and concerns that we have right now, because we elected a government that should do better, and they must do better.
And you see, look, Robert, if we can close on this issue, Tomalin, please, because I think it will reference that. Look, I think we try to simplify the conversation. And we think by, or saying that, we elected this government to do this, that means we're not supposed to speak. Let me go on record and say this. I have never worked for government. I've never received a dime to speak for any political party.
Yeah, not you necessarily. I'm talking about
a lot of my stance on issues, it comes with conviction. And I will continue to do that. So if there's this expectation I'm supposed to be a certain way, no, I don't work for any political parties. And I am at liberty to speak freely on these particular issues because I have the God-given gift to be expressive. Look, regardless of what you say, regardless of who is elected, it does not negate the fact that we still make references. When I held George Weah accountable, I made reference to George Weah economy versus Ellen Johnson Sirleaf. Those were the metrics. That was the standard. Same thing under the Boakai administration. And if you want us to be honest, yes, the Unity Party and Joseph Boakai was elected to make sure that it is completely different than what the previous government was. I agree. If you want to make the argument, Robert, let's be honest here. On this particular issue, I said that, using brute force, right, was wrong. We need to protect people's constitutional right. But yes, leadership, though, is something that we did not see in the previous administration. You know what was leadership? Joseph Boakai released a statement condemning the actions and saying that his government should immediately.
The previous administration did more than that.
You know what I also saw?
More than that.
I saw the secretary, the press secretary, along with key players in this matter, addressing the press. You understand me? And informing the press that further investigation. Let me tell you one thing that I really admire from Gregory.
Quickly before we move to the next.
The fact that he said, look, we sent additional units to be able to help with that situation, that's progress. But under the previous regime, we saw the president insulting the gifted Lama. The same president said people will never insult him again and walk free in Liberia. You remember that, Robert? That was at the dedication.
So he said all these things. He just coming back again.
Nobody walk across Liberia again free if they insulted him. George Weah said it. We saw elements of this government. We refuse to speak the truth.
We have never intimidated folks.
Some of the same people today who are being critical were the same ones that were encouraging the bad behaviors. Robert, my stance is, look, I don't support inefficient governance. I don't support people who fail. And at the appropriate time, when we have reached that mark to make
the right assessment about this leadership, we will do so. What I won't do, though, is to engage in an act of hypocrisy to support the political agenda of individuals who brought upon us one of the worst presidents in the history of Liberia. The incompetence of George Weah should never be measured. George Weah was incompetent. He was disgraceful. He was unproductive. That's why CDC became the first political party with the most sanctioned former officials of government or in Liberia political history. There's a reason why. Because all the brought were disaster, economic hardship, disrespect, and disgrace to the republic. And so we will not use them as anything to measure with any political institution. But rather, believe me,
guys,
too many quickly. I see.
You are coming. Yeah, let's talk in our 1 minute, please, guys. Everybody
exactly, but you, and that's the problem. Exactly, right. We need to be. Yeah. I see he continuously regurgitating, right? So if you lost of the thought process, you just regurgitate and be in the cycle. But yes, what I want to say
you're the clever politician. That's what. That's what you do, not me.
Yes, what I'm going to say on the process, as you said, the last governance administration of our country, President Weah and his administration was engaged more or less in the bureaucratic tendencies of our democracy.
That's what it ended up as the
part of the process about this malicious information sharing was also part of what unfolded in the past history of Liberia.
Okay, so the U.S. lied on the administration.
So most of the issues
that's what you're saying.
Most of the issues that unfolded in the country, the president gave the line for folks to constitutionally and democratically engage the governance system. Now, look at what just quickly unfolded just this evening in Monrovia, Corwell, New Georgia. There's a guy they called Yusufa Tukbe that was just beaten to death by the power theft LDC team just now. That news is just out. Called the Minister of Information and Action the question. Another individual killed in his community. Yes, the guy. Yes, the federal picture in his web. Yes, the federal picture. They just beat him and killed him just now in Monrovia. The power theft team, the ADC/power theft team.
Okay,
right?
on the money captain,
we need to be very clear here and say, and you're going to see the pattern.
The pattern here is that
basically when it comes to some of those issues coming up.
You're the guy talk.
But under money carton.
And you know what? Don't interrupt the guy. Let him talk, please. Beg you.
You see, so the pattern we witnessing, you know, it's some of these things. We want to be very systematic in terms of how we engage, and not only systematic, but we're going to list the chronological mistakes that folks made in the past time, and will continue to push through the process of what is unfolding in the country. We are not sentimental when it comes to pushing some of this issue out. We're never sentimental, but what we do, we endorse into those situations. If you too many, do not go well. Because
when George Weah executed those auditors, you were not as vocal. You said nothing about it. You thought it was business as usual. When George Weah beat down protesters at the University of Liberia, you were not.
You can't do that.
Refuse.
Dude, please, I beg you, let the guy want everybody. You had a time, let the guy speak. So,
the
guys,
the reason why I kept quiet because I want to bring sanity to the discussion.
Yeah,
I believe in the democratization of the thought process of every individual. That's why I kept quiet. I want to bring sanity to this discussion. The discourse should be we should because the reason why I kept quiet is to bring sanity to the discussion. Right? Serious note, right? I want to do that. So, no, don't. It's okay. So part of the process is because I'm trying to do the kind of things I do, but will disrupt the flow. It will not be good for our very wonderful audience.
Let me end
so
on this.
Continue. It will not be good for our audience. Let respect each other whenever we
Glad you finally knew that because people say that about you a lot of times here. So
no, I'm always respecting the view of others.
Whatever, man.
Right?
Tomalin, can I make a comment, a quick comment on this?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, please. Do say something. I just want to comment on that, passing quickly. He said something that is factual, but we need to go back to the basis of that. In context, we need to put in context. Yes, President Weah government historically it became the most sanctioned government in history of Liberia. But the officials were sanctioned for what? Corruption and human rights issue. So look at the history of Liberia and the history of the sanction regime itself. That sanction regime just started when Ellen Johnson said the 12 years was ending. So it was not actually enforced. And I believe if it had been enforced, there was massive corruption under the UP government for 12 years. Most of them would have been sanctioned. So let's argue that. We had officials became vacant because that was when the sanction regime took effect. So I wanted to put that in context.
No, you're right. You're right. You're right. You're right.
Even talk about leadership.
Point.
Yeah, you're right.
Talk about leadership here or do. I want to just dive in a little bit on that. On the question of leadership, I don't see a leadership in the country at this moment. Because it's easier for someone to come and hold a press conference, and like Charles Sutter will admit to his guilt, but his forces will go and do the same thing. I mean, we've seen this. We've seen this drama. We've seen this picture many times in our history. The whole press conference say, we're going to say more truth, we're going to do this. Hey, the Kenjo issue would have been avoided. Where was the Minister of Justice? Where was the leadership of the executive mansion? Look at the University of Liberia. We'll talk about it just a few days ago. The police invaded the university, brutalized, armless students, unwarranted students just chanting, exercising their rights given under the Constitution. The police brutalized them. The executive mansion is yet to speak to that. Where is the leadership in the executive mansion? We don't see. Look at what happened in Kawa today. I came late because I was actually listening to the interview of the veteran's wife. You are alleging someone has committed power theft and killed a person,
beaten to death
under the authority of Mirabro and Monica Town. So this is something that started. These are President Weah appointees. So the executive mansion took power, has brought no sanity to that power theft issue. Where is the leadership in the country? Where is that leadership? So what I agree, maybe the appearance of reacting publicly, maybe a bit departure, a little bit departure from the Weah or silence, but it still seems more. And I can now continue to say, for the past 18 years, the CDC and the Unity Party have led Liberia to where we are today. They are the two parties that have plundered state resources. They are the two parties that are known for corruption, actually making corruption as a way of life in public service. They are the two parties. I will argue that. And I'll end on this note quickly. When I listened to that woman whose husband was killed today, not just killed, beaten to death today. When I listen, and they're accusing him of power theft. When the woman explained, they got houses. The house that is alleged to have been involved in the power theft, they don't live in a house. The house belongs to them, but there is a tenant, and the tenant was away from the house. And they could not break into the house. So they grabbed the owner of the house and beat him to death. But let's assume the husband and the wife were involved in power theft. But that's a small theft. Look at the power. We can begin to name government officials, and I'll begin with the current vice president. I want him to make his asset public. How did he get the wealth he got?
Yeah.
How did Thomas Fowler get the wealth he got? Let's go on. People with big agriculture farm today, government officials. How did they never owned that until they served in government? But you're going to take a poor Liberian, accuse him of power theft, no conviction in court, and kill him in cold blood. Where is the leadership, dude? No leadership in this country. Liberia problem is leadership and mismanagement.
Okay.
I end that.
Guys, next week we'll have a whole show on asset declaration. So those we are sending this warning to all the caveat to all the lawmakers and ministers, all those who are in government, to declare the asset and make it public. Because next week we'll call their names, we'll call them out, And while speaking on asset declaration, let me congratulate Representative Musa Hassan Belete for coming up yesterday to declare his asset and made it public. And we are waiting for other lawmakers and other officials of government to do the same. Also, Mr. Nathan McGill too. He declared his asset.
The Richard made the country now.
So we want to see that. What next week we'll call them out. We call them out. All those who are not declared the assets, we call them out. We bring them to the public, let them know. And secondly, officials of government have this. We are not. I mean, none of us here are journalists, but what we understand is that if there's an issue on the floor, you always reach out to the other side to get their side of the story. I've been making contact with the police director since the beginning of the show, and now his name is out there now that he makes information. We reach out to him to come and to clarify. At least if you don't want to appear, send a statement, send somebody and say, look, send this out. You see, just not the press secretary, send me a statement where the president and send sector ministers to Grand Kidman County to investigate immediately what happened yesterday. The Minister of Justice, Labor, Lands and Mines and Energy, and the head of the Bureau of Concession and Liberia National Police have been dispatched to Grand Kidman to investigate and report to him as soon as possible. Now, as soon as you request for them, they respond. But Gregory Koma, and you listen to this show, whatever the case, you need to come either send a statement or let people know what's happening, because we'll continue to be speculating because you're not coming clean. And I'll say this to President Sadi administration, when they launched the attack on the CDC headquarters and somebody got killed. You know who suffered that? Who were held responsible? Police Director Mark Ambla lost his job because of that.
Lost his job, yeah. Because
of this live bullet fired into the CDC headquarters, and President Sali fired him. So, Mr. Coleman, Director Coleman, we reach out to you. You are on an obligation. You are being paid by taxpayer funds. You have the right to tell the public what's happening, and reach out to you, and you are not responding. But right now, as far as people are concerned, that what you are telling the information minister is different, giving different information, and so forth. So we want to say again, you have our information. You can contact us about it. But guys, as we end on this issue about this situation in Kinjor, we're happy that things are normal. I mean, have been brought to normalcy and have been restored. And those who died, we want to express our condolences to the family of those who lost their lives so far in Kema. Now, one of the issues that's trending now is the issue of the War Economic Crimes Court. I heard that the lady from the State Department for War Crimes is in the region. I know what she has arrived in Liberia. But
she's going to arrive in Liberia on Sunday.
Okay. I'm hearing that a resolution will be put before the House next week to formally come up with a resolution for the establishment of the War Economic Crimes Court. So, guys, let us wait until, but please, let be 1 minute, please, we'll beg you. Please, 1 minute. So we'll start with Tiawan. I'll say Tiawan. We'll start with Calabo Gonglo on this issue of the War Economic Crimes Court. Get us going.
The next time you address me as Tiawan Gonglo, I will leave the show.
I'm sorry.
I need my own identity.
I'm sorry.
My brother.
Miss Calabo Gonglo.
Yes. Tomalin, you are quite right. I've been following this issue through indirect exchanges with different people in DC. It's true. I think this is actually her 5th time since last year. Liberia has become the most visited state or country for her. She's a global leader for the United States, on human rights and war crimes. So she goes over the world. But to be visiting Liberia so many times, there might be something that I believe the State Department or the U.S. government is up to, particularly in Liberia. And I think the State Department has been very clear in many ways. When the former ambassador, what is his name? The guy who just left during the election.
Michael McCarthy.
McCarthy. When McCarthy before he came to Liberia, he said he was going to fight corruption. He was going to fight for transparency. And he proved it. He was like an activist diplomat. He was going to many places and taking on government, actions to tax publicly. He was very little bit. It was unusual for some of his utterances, in Liberia, I could say. So then you have another ambassador succeeding during his confirmation hearing. He said fighting corruption in Liberia was going to be part of his mission. And I think consistently we have in succession, I think the U.S. State Department is focused on the issue of corruption, accountability as a key pillar, maybe for the next 10 years. So war crime and accountability, they are actually one side of the same coin. So I think they want to put that piece in perspective and put it behind them. So my belief is that sooner than later, my work and see war crime could issue Ben sanction. I mean, be enacted into law. I want to believe that.
Robert, what your take on the on this issue of the war crimes code now? They're going to be resolution next week.
Well, I share the same view that I did a few days ago. That I think that this is overdue. It's long overdue. I think you can't reconcile Tomalin without accountability. You can't. I mean, every country or most countries that have been through similar thing as our country, we can look at them as a case study to say, what is the essence of reconciliation? I'm sorry, you can't reconcile just simply based on my mere apology. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to kill your cousin. I just did it because I was under some tribalistic influence, like butt naked would want us to believe, right? Or I apologize for my actions because I felt some type of way. I was emotionally driven, or whatever the case. This is not how reconciliation works. I think that we truly reconcile when people who committed atrocities in our country are seriously held accountable for their actions, and these individuals are actually have their day in court. And like I said the last time, this should not be on the basis of witch hunt. This should not be on the basis of just sentiments. Because look, I'll tell you this: I do not like people like Prince Johnson. I have no interest in ever meeting Prince Johnson, shaking his hands, and or even crossing any kind of path with him. I don't like warlords. I look. I frown at Ellen Jones Sirleaf, irrespective of some of the things that she's done that I liked. But warlords are not my cup of tea, because I sincerely believe that these people hurt us. These people played integral roles in the backwardness of our country, the destruction of our country, and it's been hard to pick up the broken pieces. And above all, we have rewarded these individuals. We have made them some of the most powerful decision makers in our country today, despite their actions against us. This is what is even more hurtful, Tomalin. We have made them rich. I mean, most of these guys will be poor. What? Imagine where a Prince Johnson would be without being senior senator of Nima County. Imagine where some of these individuals who contributed financially to the war in our country. Imagine where they would be without making $15,000 and all of the extra perks that comes with the being a lawmaker. Imagine what they would be. Imagine. And while they live some of the most luxurious lifestyle on the backs and the detriment of those that they've hurt, of those families who have been displayed of lives, over 250,000 of them that have just been gone. I mean, you listen to these horror stories. Some of these people should be around today. Mothers should be congratulating their daughters, their sons. Husbands should be, around their wives today. I mean, people got hurt. I left Liberia as a kid. I was in a refugee camp. God bless the heart of my parents. God bless the heart of parents who understood their responsibility. And I know a lot of parents feel this way. But my best friend, My best friend was left to hunt for himself, Tomalin. If it wasn't for God putting people in his life, he won't be who he is today, because not many parents came to this country or elsewhere who taught about their friends back home. And so this accountability process, I believe, should be a process that be based on facts. People should be held accountable. And if Ellen Johnson Sirleaf have a dating quote, I don't care if she's 95 years old or 89 years old, and if facts shows that she contributed to the destruction and the death of innocent Liberians, and we gave her 5 years in prison and fine, let her go and let her go to jail. Charles Taylor should not be the only one. He wasn't the only one who was in this thing yet. So this is the right thing. This is the logical thing to do. Take politics out of it. This is the regular thing to do. And Mr. President, I can guarantee you, you will gain a fan and a supporter on this particular matter. And this is coming from a guy who don't agree with you on anything political. You will gain a fan from Robert Gagwa. I will come to Liberia. I will campaign for this matter. I will pay my way. I will take care of my accommodation. This is the right thing to do. This is how we move forward. And we send a message. If you dare have grievances, there are processes, there are legal processes to get redress. If you dare go into the bushes to destroy our country, to take innocent lives, you, my friend, will be dealt with.
Okay, Russell. In fact, let me say this. We are following the story about this guy who was killed today, who allegedly killed today. We are not confirm it. We allege that somebody was killed for power theft. We are going to follow it, and we're going to get the bottom of it and find out what happened, and so that we'll bring it to the public. We'll follow it. Hopefully next week we'll discuss it. We'll discuss it next week. And also the concession. People are asking us to really do a show on the concession. What reality behind the whole concession? From Lamco days, what happens in Lamco and all these companies that did the concession. So, yeah, we'll be hopefully we're looking at it. But Russell, on the issue of the war crimes, economic crimes court, people are saying that they should go to Ghana. Others are saying the economic benefits for it will benefit the Ghanaian economy, not our economy. We need it. I heard that from where I'm getting 200 million will be set aside, will be given for this court and the prison. Everything, the security and everything, and it will provide jobs for people too, because in the economy, people will be living, foreign will be in the country. But what you're talking about this?
And by the way, Tomalin, not to cut you off before Russ was coming, they will also have to build some new accommodations as well. Okay, so we should also give contractor jobs, and it will expand the economy. So this should be held right in Liberia. That money should not be taken to Ghana. Thank you.
Yeah. So Russell, what you're taking on this code being? I'm hearing that next week will be on the floor of the house, and they're gonna put it on the floor. Now we're gonna see. The speaker, hope the speaker will call for an up and down vote to see who all will be against this war code establishment. And then from there, if they pass the House, they'll go to the Senate for concurrence. And then it will end up on President Boyka's desk for his signing to make it legal. What's your thoughts about it?
I think it's a great thing, Tomalin. As Robert said earlier, it's way long past overdue. So this is something that needed to happen like yesterday. So I applaud the efforts of President Boakai for bringing it up. I mean, other presidents have talked about it, but have never really seen it through. So this is great that, and I hope he sticks to it. He mentioned that during his inaugural address, during his State of the Nation address. It was sort of silent, so I didn't like that part of it. We have to stick to it. I mean, this has to be done. You know, a friend of mine told me before we always talk, and he says that Liberia is an anomaly, and you know, and what it means that stuff that is so straightforward and that happens everywhere else around the world, even next door. In Sierra Leone, to hold people accountable for their actions. What about us? We've lacked the political will, and so now we're seeing that things are slowly turning the corner. You know, many of us, I don't know about you all, but I came to this country because of the war. Many of us came to the country because of the war. My siblings, many of us, we were brutalized. We were young. I was young. I was, in high school. I was just graduated from high school, actually. And so the war robbed us of everything. You know, many of us here on this platform have been either directly or indirectly, brutalized. The government was complicit in heinous acts of violence against its own citizens, the rebels, and all of these politicians. It sickens me to see the likes of Prince Johnson, in our Congress, in our national legislature, passing laws and threatening people and all of that. He needs to face the full weight of the law. He needs to be brought to justice, and the likes of all of the other folks who participated in this war and rob us and many, many other Liberians of their future. So, Tomalin, I applaud this effort, and I hope that we can see it through, because I was in college here at the University of Minnesota, when we had the TRC process came through. The Advocates for Human Rights is a big justice organization, advocacy group that is here that participated in that process. So I had a little part to play in the whole TRC, and to see all of that work that Jerome Verdier, Massa, and all of those folks took part in to document the crimes that were committed, the human rights abuses that were committed, and just allow you to just collect dust. It's sad and unfortunate. And our people who were killed, our relatives who were killed, we owe it to them to see that justice be done. We need folks need to be held accountable for all of what they did to that country. We cannot move forward. I mean, Rwanda went through their situation. Look where they are. The Holocaust took place back in the 1940s. People are still being haunted for the crimes they committed during the Holocaust. What makes us so different? People come and they make all this noise. That like something is going to happen if they were brought to justice. Prince Johnson sit on his so-called pulpit and talk gibberish and all this sort of stuff. He needs, if he knows he didn't do anything wrong, he needs to be held accountable. And all of those people who killed those folks at the Lutheran Church, the government folks who were involved at the time, they also need to be brought to justice. So this is a decision that is going to do right by all of us as a community. Is going to spur economic growth in our country. Is going to do a lot for this generation, the generation that is behind us, and even behind that generation. It's a good thing, Tomalin. So I'm glad that is finally coming. I've talked to a number of lawmakers when I was in Liberia, and many of them are committed to seeing this process through. We need to bring the war and economic crime court. We cannot keep dragging our feet. And shame on those who have been dragging their feet on this issue. Shame on them.
Well, I mean, it's again, like we say, look, it's important. We heard, like you just said, the Carter's Camp massacre, the Duboro massacre, the Lutheran Church massacre. I mean, you name it. A lot of people just like I went to on our living Duboro. You go there, you see there are still bones, skeletons of people there today who, like my oldest brother. He was at the TB Annex in July of 1990. And we visited him that Sunday before the guy hit Pinsville. Since that time, my oldest brother, contact George, people who know him. We know what he is today, and we know he got the whole place was ransacked. We know who did it, or we need to investigate who did all these things so that people can bring a closure to it. So, but let's hear from Pee-wee on this issue before we go to Duke, so we can end it and move to another one. Yeah, Pee-wee.
Thank you. The last time we started moving through the system of all of the massacre, you talk about the Carter Camp, the Duporo, the 14th Street Sinkhole, and LPC also, there's some massacre in the southeastern part of Liberia, Maryland, Grand Crew, and Sando. Lofa County alone, I think there's more than 26 different massacres in Lofa County carried out at the time by Unimoke and that of Alert, if you combine all of them. So I would say this clearly. I do also support people to account. The accounting day should come. People should go and reckon with those days, and we establish. But you asked a very profound question now a moment ago about if the coach should be moved to Ghana or back to Monrovia or Liberia. Now, there's a lot of things. That's what I said the last time, and we didn't. Also, the issue about the international community got different way they engage into most of those issues as they unfold. If you don't have the infrastructure, sometimes they only want to come and start with totally new infrastructure. It's one of the problems. So we will have to now, as Liberia, part of the joint resolution in legislating this issue in our legislature, we have to be very meticulous and forward-thinking in terms of that, and more steadfast in terms of how we're going to approach this process. Part of the legislation should be including, if we can do it in a more expeditious manner, because we do have an area in part of Montserrat, between Montserrat and that of Bomi. That's where they intended to build our new prison facility, the correctional facility there in that part of the country. If we can do that and move, because the only prison facility we have now is the one we have, the correctional area we have in Zreju, Grand Julius County, and what we have currently at the sub-beach in Monrovia. And the sub-beach in Monrovia was constructed to take, I think, 200 to 300 persons. Today we have close to 1,000 plus inmates there. And the facility itself, the structure itself, is not of the standard of a correctional facility. So one of the discussions we need to push as a government and people is to advance that with them and say, hey, we want to have this. It should be the Liberian people think. People should be moved, and we should also, as government, show our preparedness in manning those facilities. Because one of the concerns is people that are supposed to be going to account, if they are guilty. For instance, Prince Johnson, he was a belligerent war leader, and the rest of most of the generals. If we're to hold them in Monrovia, do we have the capacity as a government and people to protect this area to withstand any kind of problem coming from outside? So these are justification we will have to give within our internal cycle for the international community to see reason to come in. Other than that, if we don't do this, and I'm saying this to the Mark this if we don't do this, I wouldn't be surprised if they were to push it to another jurisdiction. And we should insist that it should be within our the middleweight of our territorial areas. It should be constructed within the middleweight of Liberia. Because part of that is lawyers. Most of our lawyers going to benefit. Most of those people are going to be as clerk officers of the court will benefit tremendously. Those that, because they will have to move across the country. They will have to seek witness gathering and other things, gathering witnesses and seeing reconstructing crime scenes and other things. Folks going to help them to do those things. So we're going to have most of the businesses that will be catering to them. Home, new construction will be done. More other international law will be hired back to the country. So you're going to benefit us a lot in that way. And that's part of the line. And then when the issue of the economic crime aspect, we can now conduct where most of those companies that were engaged in plundering or pillaging our resources can come and account and pay something back, right? So again, the economic crime aspect is important quickly. We can also find out from where your district, your county, might give it county. We can find out if Firestone since 1822. 1922, sorry, what did Firestone do if there was any economic crime? So this is going to be holistic. It's going to help the country, and if there will be class action or the rest of that to bring some of the resources back to the country. So yes, it will benefit the country, but we have to be very systematic in our engagement with the international community. Remember, there is this geopolitical process of holding in the region also. We have to be very mindful of that. If we push as government and be firm, I think we can have the court established in Liberia and most of the proceeds after that. But the infrastructure problem is one of our major concerns. So we have to move to justify that we got the ability to come up quick with something and we put a plan to them. This is going to cost us this is going to cost us that, and they can move to build a facility and we can move with that and have those people to be to account for the atrocity they committed.
Duke, the War Economic Crimes Court apparently is about to become reality, and everybody now is supporting it. And President Boga is getting a lot of fans support on this thing from the citizenry. But people believe that the president, since he talked about it during his inaugural speech, he has gone. He's going cold walking on it. Apparently, people believe that the interview with Alan White, who trying to spin it that it wasn't we all know it was a real interview, and now the president she's not really talking about it again. We don't know what's happening, but I think you think the president is on he's boxing, or he's under pressure now until he must act.
Well, I mean, due to the last political process, clearly he's under pressure from both sides. But it's one of those things where he doesn't have much of a choice, because if this government must succeed, it needs to comply with what standards the international community is putting forward. And I've heard that they're very big on the War Economic Crimes Court, and I think the president understands that. Look, this is a legacy moment for the president. One of the things that we remember about Barack Obama is the Affordable Care Act. Every time you have an opportunity to leave behind a legacy of this magnitude, that's not something you can actually ignore. So I do see, wherein further steps will be taken. Look, I welcome it. We have actually cried for justice. Kudos to Massa Washington, kudos to Emmanuel Chavez, kudos to all of those campaigners for justice who have been, are putting themselves on the line to make sure that this issue comes to a forefront. Look, we need some level of deterrence for people to know that we can no longer do things, conduct things as business as usual. All right. Here is it, we see people who have violated our laws, people who've been sanctioned for economic crimes, right? Serving in government when they shouldn't be there. These are the things that I'm looking forward to. Another thing here is Tommy, I think the United States and our international partners learn a lot from the mishap of the whole Tiller process. They got rid of Charles Tiller, but a lot of individuals left behind that, allowed, right, a lot of things to happen beyond. We saw during the last regime when some of those ex-generals were released from prison to become part of Koji security at the MCC. And members, the budget was actually used to fund those kind of criminals, right, to be part of our government. These are the things that we're looking forward to. And so I think that it is a major issue. I'm glad that the international community, our international partners are pushing it forward. I think we really need justice and accountability. And finally, Tommy, speaking about the error that we made with Chasta and all those generals, we see what's happening now with the CDC. The Revolution National Youth Movement of CDC is a potential terrorist organization. That's a breeding ground for terrorists. These are young men who have been brought from, a prison cell, now using this as an opportunity to work on behalf of people, work on behalf of sanctioned criminals like Jefferson Koji, who are financing them. Where is the CDC getting money from to sponsor press conferences and actually buy gears from these individuals? These monies are being pushed by individuals who are sanctioned criminals. And I think the United States and our international partners need to look at our CDC and declare it, a threat to national security and international security, because what we're witnessing, the continued poor rhetorics that we've seen, it is the same rhetoric that Jefferson Koji used before he was finally sanctioned. And I learned that Akara's Gray will probably be the next person that will soon be sanctioned because of some of the things that he's put for. But overall, Tommy, this is a serious issue. We welcome the War Economic Crimes Court. I think it's a deterrent, and I think it gives Liberian this assurance that people care about moving Liberia forward. And the moment we can start seeing some level of traction, it will help. And you know what? I want the prison center. Look, you can do it this way. From those high-level criminals like the Prince Johnson, and the Budnick and all of those people, they take them to Ghana. But we still need some kind of monetary allocation to build detention centers in the country, because I believe that, when this particular court gain traction and we start looking at the Economic Crimes Court, we may have former leaders and stuff who will be implicated and could possibly be in local prison centers in Liberia that would, that alone can make Liberians understand that, we're in a new Liberia and we're not taking steps to make sure we're solving some of these issues.
Okay, let me recognize Paleto for contributing $100 to the TCA for the show. To continue the show. Pilot Toe, want to recognize you for contributing $100 to the TCA for the show to be on. Kept on. Thank you so much. Okay, let me say this too. The CDC government was not the government with the most sanctioned people. President Taylor government had the most sanctioned people. In fact, people were they were the strongest sanctioned. They even had UN travel ban. They couldn't even leave the country. And I think there were over 20 or 30 of them. So let it get it clear. President government was not the most sanctioned people in our history. So let me clear. And then secondly, do you know CDC? There's now no terrorist group with the CDC movement. And let me say further.
And the reason why I don't want to even speak to it, because to speak to it is to follow dignified.
Listen,
I come do you entitled to whatever you want to say, but I will say this: take it or leave it. The CDC is the major opposition party in the country right now. They're the major opposition party in the country, and I would say also 2029 will soon be as soon as you blink, you see we'll be in 2029. And CDC right now, since the election, CDC is the only party so far that have been engaged in the Burger government. They had their own record of engaging the government, so they are the ones right now on the forefront. You know, as I said, during President Salih's administration, that Burger was vice president. Whenever the CDC threatened to protest or say something, President Salih will easily call or we have to talk to him. That's why it's important. This country, I repeat, is divided. We are got 49.3% of the vote. Burger got 50.6% of the vote. So as a result, I would expect by now, President Burger would have even invited President Cummings, all the political leaders, especially not the ones that endorse him per se, the ones that didn't endorse him, to come together. Look, to engage, reach out to them, say, look, the country is divided. I need you guys to I know we have your opposition, you be constructive in your criticism, but at the same time too, we have moved the country forward. Well, like what happened at the airport the other day with President and then other stuff happening with tender officials is not a good sign. Because right now, as I've learned, CDC Akaras will be here next week, I think, to talk about the protests. The protest issue is building up. Even the information minister was clear. He said it's not a good thing because look, all the meetings President Burger is having right now with investors and so forth, they won't put their money in Liberia if they found out that people are going to be protesting. People are going to, what happened in Kinjal? That's something that people were afraid. People are afraid now. So it's not a good thing. The best thing to do now in a divided country is to go up from the middle, try to be inclusive and be reconciliatory so that you can govern. Because if the CDC meant go out on a protest, what happened June 7th? June 7th, the government literally came to its knees. Had that protest sustained for another day, our government would have collapsed. So you don't want to see a situation where and people know CDC in opposition is now easy party in opposition. They know how to play that game. And if they put the people in the street and they start, people will not come forward to come and bring the money in the country. And it will affect the president Burger agenda. So let us hope and pray that the president will see reasoning and will reach out to the opposition and try to engage them for the good of this country. But let me say, there you go. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
You know, that guy, he has a secret or part, problem with Councilor Gongla.
I love my man Tawan.
I talk to him the most. In the night, 12 a.m. we're talking.
So go ahead.
I just want to make a quick comment here in passing. On the war crime issue, I just wanted to make this quick comment. Remind the audience and myself that during the last show, when we talk about the war crime issue, I said if this comes to pass, White Guy will be considered a matter of history. Because this is one issue that leaders that we expected the most from, like President Salih, walk away from that. She did not have the courage to even say, even if the issues affect me for the good of the nation, I will honor the desire of the nation. She failed on that test. So if Waka succeeds on this, I think you'll gain a lot of things, and I won't regret then voting for him in 2017, then I won't regret. Because in 2017, I didn't support him. So I won't regret why I supported him in 2017. Even though in 2023, I was just a Jeremiah Kun who said 2023, no, he can't support him. But so another thing is, it will also set Kun free, because if Prince Johnson is out of the political scene in Nimba, Kun would, most likely be the most popular person in the country. So it will be in Kun's interest to make sure that Prince Johnson depart the stage. And I think that's what Vice President Kun is working on, to make sure that Prince Johnson leaves the stage before 2029. And I've heard that kind of narrative in different Nimba chat room. I think Kun is solidly behind President Bouaka on this issue, to set himself free so that Prince Johnson can keep hammering him, do this. I think I see that. But also, I want to just make my last comment on Du's statement. Du, I like your exuberance, your energy on some issues, and on many issues for that matter, I must say. But to begin to equate someone on sanction being a terrorist, I think that's too far-fetched. I don't think Jefferson Koji is a terrorist. And I don't think the CDC organization is a terrorist.
I do think so, and I can justify why.
CDC is a
US
viable,
don't think so.
CDC is a viable political establishment.
And a domestic terroristic organization.
Well, okay.
As by the United States, Jefferson was sanctioned because of the acts of terrorism, domestic terrorism he engaged in. It's in U.S. report.
Totally unfounded.
This man
about
used his office
that is unfounded.
to violate the rights of people. He was part of several conversations of using force, right? Using his position to assassinate people in that country. Part of the reason why he's considered now a sanctioned individual is because of that. Let's read the U.S. report. CDC Revolutionary Youth League is a domestic terroristic organization, and the United States need to pay close attention to it. Who's funding those guys? What the individuals calling them? A lot of these sanctioned individuals
that is a Malaysia. That is a Malaysia misinformation.
They are encouraging the actions of the CDC Revolutionary Youth Wing.
That is a Malaysia misinformation you gave.
It's not Malaysia because the United States
Malaysia.
agrees.
That's a Malaysia. That is very Malaysia. There's no terrorist group in the Republic of Liberia.
Why was Jefferson Koji sanctioned? Why was Jefferson Koji sanctioned? Why was Jefferson Koji sanctioned?
It is in the go back and see why you are sanctioned. Go back and see why you are sanctioned.
International partners.
There was nothing terroristic about that. There was nothing terroristic about that. Nothing terroristic about it. Being sanctioned. Nothing terroristic about it.
I am a statement, though.
Let the guy talk.
I was just ending my statement.
Go ahead, Mr. Gongo. Go ahead, Mr. Gongo.
So, I believe, and truthfully so, the CDC is a vibrant political organization.
Very vibrant.
CDC, like any other political party, is a mass-based movement. In a mass-based movement, you have different tendencies. We used to experience that in the Student Unification Party, where a very progressive group, militant group, but in our same soup, there are others who will leave soup and become thief when they serve in government. But they came from the same soup. When they were on campus, they held different view. So the CDC is a vibrant political organization. The history of Liberia, political history, cannot be written completely without how CDC changed the politics of the 2020. We can't write that out. CDC, I think CDC has even shown us that you can be in opposition and survive, because they started as an opposition party. They never won election for 12 years. They continue to survive. So, we can go back to the U.S. or State Department report and what have you.
Please, I will do so.
But let me tell you.
After you speak, when I give you the chance, Tomalin, give me 1 minute only. Would it take long, please? Let me present the facts.
There's no 1 minute given to you because we only give you a minute.
No. You don't want me to say it because it's the truth. I have respect for the show, and everything that I say, they are truthful. I don't come here and spew lies, and I will back it based upon credible evidence from the United States government. Okay, if you would come on the show and deny the United States government labeling this man as a domestic terrorist, then you have a problem.
The government did not. That is misleading. That is misleading.
No, I will
That is
provide the
misleading.
facts.
Stop
I
it.
will provide the facts.
It is misleading.
Guys,
Okay,
let Calabo finish. Calabo finish.
I'll end on this because I think Tom now just end on that. I think because the show is not about Jefferson Koji, so I think we should just go away from it. Probably, it's not about that. But let me just end my statement on the Jew. I know the State Department report relies on different media reports and on different sources. I'll point one source to you. One thing to you. When Natana Magé was sanctioned, part of the right out link Natana Magé involvement to the company that is building the RIRO. East, I think East International or something.
Yeah, East International.
That company actually just signed a concession agreement with the United Party government on September 7, 2017. Just few weeks, probably 12 or 16 days to the election, they signed $59 million agreement. Okay? I'm aware of that. In fact, the procurement process was not even correct. But because I was close to some authority, I'm not going to disclose a lot of stuff to it. The legislature ratified that on a high speed. How Natana Magé was not even government then? How did they link into that? So when I read that report and I was aware of the process, I said, but in the State Department is in error on here. Because this agreement was actually signed when Magé was not even government. Okay, so State Department is credible, but sometimes they do get our information wrong.
And the information, normally they get most of the information on ESA and part of some of the malicious information coming from certain individuals around. The State Department report did not indicate nothing whatsoever about anything terroristic about Jefferson Koji being sanctioned. They didn't do that. They didn't. And there's no terrorist group in Liberia. No terrorist group in Liberia.
My fellow panelists, Robert, Tomalin, Mr. Russell. When we are opportune to come on this platform, we speak to the facts, and I will present the facts. I would take the United States report over the Liberian report. I will. And let me make the point. On December 8, 2023, the United States designated Jefferson Koji, Mayor Monrovia, for sanction. He controls, this is the U.S. government report, he controls paramilitary style organization associated with CDC, which recruits former combatants recently released from prisons. OFAC has reasons to believe that Koji has instructed this organization to violently disrupt demonstration conducted by government critics or political opposition. Koji and his supporters have been involved in violence in connection with an opposing rally wherein is cited and all of that, right? Koji has been engaged in acts of bribing, misappropriation of state funds, and political executions. Let me just say this to you. That's
nothing terroristic
terrorism. That's an act of domestic terrorism. This was included in the release by the United States government.
Is anything domestic? Is anything terroristic in that statement?
Here, it is terroristic.
Is anything terroristic in that statement?
Troops to go down and
is anything terroristic in that statement?
Opposition.
Look, listen, we need to stop. We need to stop the process of misinforming the
Revolutionary National Youth League.
I'm not a spokesperson for Koji, but we need to stop this.
That needs to be
investigated. There's nothing absolutely terroristic in that statement.
Nothing. Are also equally guilty, and these people will be monitored.
Nothing terroristic in that statement.
It is proven. So that's you have not presented any facts. I brought it. If you
there's no facts, you present no facts. You just
moving on, guys. Let's move on.
The United States government sees Jefferson Koji as a hardcore criminal. That's a fact.
He's not. Absolutely, he's not a terrorist.
That's why
it's unfortunate. It's unfortunate you're coming.
He is.
Misinformation to the public.
He is.
Probably you may have your own frustration. That's why you're trying to bring up. But you don't understand why you have to do that.
I am just absolutely. I'm not frustrated. To be honest with you, you are frustrated.
Please. Let me give update from. I heard on Monday there will be the Minister of Information will have a press conference. I think on Monday to address a lot of national issues that are trending, and also I just spoke to the Director of Police. He maintained that what he told the minister is his statement. He said it's still one person died. People, those fatalities were not from the incident, or two person getting involved in something, and they are being arrested, I think. So he maintained that the one person that lost their life yesterday, he told the minister is the same, is still stand by it. So, but on Monday we hear more from the information minister and during a press conference. Okay, and guys, look, let's move on. The War Economic Crimes Code. We look forward to what will happen next week, and we'll see what will happen in the House and of Representative, and see what happens. But let's move on.
Tomalin, I want to ask you a quick question. If you can answer this, if we knew about this, did the court, the justice in chambers, Justice Kaba, Yusuf Kaba, put a stay order on the issue about tenure position?
Yes, Justice Kaba put a stay order on with a prohibition. Now, what's happening is that because the issue met yesterday, but then the justice minister, I think he has not been commissioned or confirmed yet, also what to where. So the parties went to the court, and the government did not show up. So what's going to happen is that they wait for him. I think next week, I'm sure they'll go into it. But another development.
Yeah, that's what I'm coming to, because I'm getting information.
They called Jimmy. I spoke to him. The guy said that they accused of withdrawing from the case. He said no, he did not withdraw from the case. He know how Osborne got his name there, but he's still with his colleagues. I told him to court. I spoke to him. Yeah, and he said that he's still part of the case. So we look forward to hearing from him.
I'm getting a new development about the president issuing a letter to Councillor Kane to take over to be the officer in charge of NASCO, the National Social Security Corporation.
Well,
against the state order issue. That letter was issued on the 27th of
the state order was issued for LTA. LTA took the government to court. So
I thought the state order for all tenure positions.
No, the one for LTA. LTA took in court, the Supreme Court.
Okay.
Yeah, but NASCO of what the guy named Dewey is not. He has not been well. So I don't know what happened. He's not been well since the election. So he's not being there. So that's why they appointed somebody to be this officer in charge of that. Okay. But issue of tenure officials too. The president also appointed a committee to look into it too. But at the same time, this LTA is at the Supreme Court. So, but the tenure people are still in a position, they're still working.
Okay.
So right now, that's far ahead. But I hope we'll hear from them next week or so. But today, just to end on this note, today we received the new Director General of Commissioner General of the Liberian Revenue Authority took over. Double Jala, someone who I have high respect for, and he said some things today that if he wants to take the government, the budget to $1 billion. He said he also was very clear that he's not in the business of people calling him to appoint people, or lawmakers calling him, or government officials calling him. He's straightforward, and they're gonna either work with him or he wouldn't earn his time there, because he's a very straightforward person. But what are your thoughts about this guy? I know Kelabo knows him well. Gustavo Kelabo, he knows him very well. As someone I have high respect for, I want to believe that if they work with him, the Liberian government revenue will go up, and we'll do a lot of things for the people. But let's see what happens. But Taiwan, hey God, definitely forgive me now. But Kelabo, but yes, tell me.
You are quite right about that. Double Jala, James Double Jala, is a brother, much more than a friend. If I can just take few seconds to talk about how we met each other. In 1987, he came from Vanjuma Multilateral High School, and I came from Simiris in Sanukole. And I remember we were sitting down in the auditorium. At that point, we used to have freshman debut, where we would tie our faces with black cloth, wear white and black, white shirts and black trousers, and we'll be going around the camera who would shout note, and they would be beating us, the graduating seniors. And it was a very good academic rituals. We used to do that. And when walking in the auditorium, I was like on the left, he was on the right, but now on the same line, probably 2 lines between us, but some distance, probably 10 feet away from me. But every time I look by, 2 or 4 would just make eye contact. It happened like maybe 3 or 4 times, and it became something magical. I think on a few instances, he started to smile. He said, why the guy just keep looking at me? So after the debut that Friday, Monday, classes started. And when we went to class, then he and I found ourselves in pre-calculus. I'm not an Indian lady called Miss Thomas, but we used to call her Sakwa Yanswa because she was a very tough Indian woman teaching calculus. And we met in the class. Oh, my man, about
a few more minutes. So
yeah. So our relationship started there, and we started together throughout. Anyone who went to the University of Labrador with the famous TH50, we sleep in TH50. We go in the morning, go to Fender, and our friendship has been there. But he's a very honest person. That's why on many show, and even on this show, I have said that's the only man I can be even chief officer to him. I can be a deputy to him. I can be anything to him because you know what? Our view, kind of align on many national issues and in our personal lives. But I've spoken to him. He actually did say to me, because a lot of people have come to him to provide information. Liberia has actually been raising billions of dollars in revenue. It has just been going to few powerful government officials' pocket. Saying he's not going to be pocketing that, he's confident that he can take the revenue part to $1 billion, maybe in 2 years' time. He's going to shut down all the loopholes. And I mean, Tomalin will talk on many of these things. Many high-profile government officials have been calling. I'm sending my list to you. I'm doing this. He said, no. If there is one vacancy, we're going to make an announcement in the newspaper and online. We're going to give tests. We're going to do interview. The best librarian must be hired for every job. It's not going to be phone call. It's not going to be, recommendation. The best librarian must get a job. I'm come to LRA because I'm considered one of the best. So if I'm going to hire someone, that person should be one of the best. That's his philosophy. And I think people should watch him. He will do it. I know him. He's a brother. If he say you're going to do something, you're going to do it. He's going to shake up those who sit at LRA and have their own clearing business. They have their own little shitty D&D. They should be careful now. There is a new commander in the house. There is a new sheriff at LRA. They should watch out. If those things come, Dr. Jala will see you up the door, and if need be, he will prosecute you. He will not waste time, and he will waste no time to resign if there is political interference. Because if I can even just take a minute to talk about some of the instances where he and Salih disagree on many procurement things, on some critical procurement stuff. When the Senate in 2016, out of 2016 or 2017, the Senate had money in a budget. They want to take cash from one Lebanese man in advance of all the procurement process. When it came to Public Procurement Commission, they asked him to sign on the voucher. He said, no, they never went through the procurement process. I cannot. Wezonga Finance, President Pro Tem of the Senate, they engaged the executive head, President Salih. They asked President Salih, asked him to let the Senate issue die so the government can pay the money to the Lebanese guy. He said, no, Madam President, they did not follow the procurement procedure. They have to pay the money out of their pocket. If you want your job, here is my letter of resignation. President Salih said, no, I don't. You be there. So the senators have to pay that money out of their pocket. So that's the kind of president I'm talking about. Who would disagree with president and say, take your job, I'm walking away.
Well, I mean, I heard nothing but good things about the guy. I heard a lot of good stuff about him, and he was just from the Carter Center when he just worked lastly. People say the best things about him, but I don't know. But like John Malu right now is going through the issue with President Boyka. John Malu, was on a rescue team. He raised money for them, and a lot of things happened. He had a lot of high hopes, but right now, you talked to him today. He's completely disappointed. He's not happy. He's not happy with some appointments that have been made in government. He's very critical.
He sent me a text today.
Yeah, I mean, even me too. And he's not happy at all. And right now, the last thing he want to see is what's happening right now. So right, I don't know, but we wanted the best for our country. We wanted the country to raise more money so they can take care of a lot of priorities in the country. But if the money is not there, if they can't raise the money, if people interfere with it, I'm sure people will walk away. But Robert, let me hear from you in 1 minute.
But only for Rob,
Thank you.
raising the money is one thing, though, and I think Mr. Jala has raised concern on that. That's why the president put him on the economic management team. Raising the money is one thing, but how it is applied. If you're going to be raising the money and all of these secret, you will not accept it.
How do you?
Listen,
Robert, we coming. Already there's some, and we're waiting to get somebody mute. We're waiting to get more information. Already there's something coming on one of the officials of government already, the hands in the cookie jar already, and we get all the facts on it. We're gonna put it out there, and the president will be asked to either investigate it, and the person is found liable, it should be fired up and prosecuted. We're gonna get the facts on. We'll put it up there. We'll see how the president gonna handle it. But I want to hear from you.
look, Tomalin, I'm sorry if he's watching. I'm sorry, but John Malo needs to go and sit somewhere in his comfortable corner in these United States. I don't care for John Malo. I think what you put in is what you get out. This is a man who spoke so highly of integrity, and then in the last 24 hours, he was saying sitting on a spoon. Oh, God bless the hearts of those who have made decisions, whatever it is. But this guy had no problem raising funds for Unity Party with an indicted criminal. And yeah, and he's frustrated. He has concern about characters being appointed. Of course he has concern when those being appointed is not him. He's not in the fries. Of course he has an issue. But John Molo he's outstayed his time. He's done what he was supposed to do, and he's out of there.
I'm gonna stay young. Stay young.
Yeah, he's still young. But guess what? Young or old people if you make terrible decisions, you get terrible results. And he's just a guy that I have no respect for him. I have no respect for him. I have absolutely no respect for him. I don't think that he represents anything he preaches. Nothing whatsoever. Because people who have integrity and people who are serious about changes will act accordingly. And I'm not even talking about people who have gone on Spoon to talk. I got a lot of friends who go on Spoon. I got people on there that I respect. But how dare you talk about accountability and decency and integrity, but you sit proudly on a platform and raise money with an indicted criminal? I mean, you don't care about that, and you want to talk about concerns about those being appointed. Those being appointed probably got more integrity than John Mo. Let him sit somewhere and let people hear their ears. I don't care about that. But look, let me say this, Tomalin. I think that you get John Molo things that making me lose my train of thought. What was the question again, Tomalin?
For the new RA buzz.
James, Mr. Jala. Look, I researched this guy. Tomalin, every time people tell me great things about people, and I've been getting a lot of calls about this man. I always try to make some calls, and I like to do my own due diligence. From everything that I've heard so far, I haven't seen anything negative about this man. He remained to today's date the senior official in the Carter at the Carter Center. He held multiple roles, and from all indication, he served well. And so I'm hoping that the LRA actually got someone who is willing to do the right thing, and who is also willing to be objective when it comes to the president, right? Because in our country, it's very, very hard. This is the reason why I told a friend of mine, I want to make sure that financially I'm successful if I were to ever work in government, because I'm not the guy who will sit by and allow the wrong things to be done, and I'm just muted, right? So you're going to fire me, but if you fire me, my livelihood is not dependent on government. I live the same lifestyle in the private sector, right? And so I hope he's the deal, and I support him. There's a strong possibility that we can raise revenue to $1 billion. I think Cummings made mention of this, and when he did, people laughed about it. But anything in Liberia is possible with the right people on board, with the right plan and the right execution. There's nothing that's not possible. Anything is possible in Liberia. If this country can dream big, if any other countries have dreamed big and they're where they are today, Liberia can do it. By the way, Liberia is not a big country. We got almost six, 5 point something million people. I mean, we can create an economy that employ all of our folks and some foreigners that come in as well. If we put our mind to this, so we can do anything possible. So I don't doubt his ability to do that. And so we will be looking out to see exactly if he's if he's acting, if he's, because look, talk is cheap, right? And you got to speak and act, aligned at the same thing, right? Your actions must match your words, right? So I like leaders who talk the tough talk, who understands what they're talking about, but also leaders who follow through the implementation of what they talk about. So I wish him all the best at LRA, and I hope that he delivers.
Duke, what you got to say about Jabba Jala?
And I don't know what's there to say. But look, I'm a firm believer that we need fresh minds when it comes to the development of Liberia, and people with questionable characters should never be in the forefront of leadership in that country. Right, but in the end, we will grade this administration based upon this performance. I am honestly looking forward to the first 100 days to see what has transpired under the new administration, and if we need to be critical about some of the missteps, we will do so. Right, mainly from the economic standpoint, from a leadership standpoint, all of the things that we've actually provided. But overall, Tomalin, look, I've had some concerns about individuals who are serving in government. I have concerns about Prince Johnson. I have concerns about people who believe in the Native and Congo divide being given opportunity to serve. I had all of those concerns. Unfortunately, the Liberian people, did not think that those key issues were necessary in making a decision. And in the end, Liberians still believe that the system is what they need to run to for solutions. So we will use whatever it is after 100 days to assess. But people who have questionable character should not be in the face of governance. That's why I'm excited about the War Crimes Court. That hopefully it will bring some level of sanity and hold people accountable. And when I spoke of finally, Tomalin, look, when I said that the courts, that War Crime Court is needed in Liberia, this is the reason why. We need to get rid of people who are just hindering the system, people who do not have any added value, just taking up space when we have competent Liberians with better integrity that can serve in this position to bring in the kind of leadership. But overall, we'll see. That's the choice. We'll see how it ends up after 100 days. We'll re-examine it. I'm just pushing for the War Crimes Court. I'm also pushing for the United States to continue to review the actions of the Revolutionary National Youth Movement, the CDC. I still believe it is a domestic terrorist organization, and I have the facts to bridge. So hopefully we'll be able to see some traction in that manner.
Huey. You muted.
You muted. We can hear you.
The name Double Jara does not only resonate with a lot of Liberians in terms of he as a integrity czar. He's one of those brother veteran that I do have a lot of respect for. A very proud graduate of MIT, someone that went through the rank and file of our basic policy areas in our country. He got a lot of, I commend there, a lot of respect for him. I'm not surprised on the most serious note that he will do very well. He's intentional. He's a very organized and intentional person, very detailed. And you have to be very prepared to work with him because he he got the skill to detect if you are sincere or not whenever you engage him. He's a very detailed person, as I said to you. And immediately when the conversation starts, he's very probing. He believed to probe to get answers. So I believe that he will manage the LRA very well. The projection he's pushing, I'm inclined to believe him in terms of if he will meet his projection of the rest of it. He doesn't meet it, but he will go very close to it. So yes, he's going to do that. But on the process about, he's saying how the money going to be spent. Again, the LRA, the act that created the LRA is very explicit. That the scope of responsibility is to collect the revenue. And it is very clear. When they extracted the LRA from the Ministry of Finance at the time, the responsibility of the LRA was conducted and carried out by the Deputy Minister for Budget. Not budget, revenue. And then when they extracted the ministry, the LRA now, the LRA's sole responsibility is to collect all government revenue in the country. Now, the expending aspect of it is still within the responsibility now of the new Ministry of Finance and Development Planning. They would do the basic appropriation and the rest of it, and then the legislature will now get them the spending power after passing from the both houses and the president signed. But it is not his responsibility. With all due respect to him, I got a lot of respect for him. I believe in his tenacity as an individual to do the work. But the spending aspect, the disbursing aspect, is not his responsibility. But yeah, it's good that way because he had to collect the money. It's good that we just send message. And the way the appropriation process is done, and that's why Article 34 of our Constitution is clear. It says that the appropriation process and the spending authorities within the national legislature, and every budget cycle, the legislature will have to ensure that that's part of the issue of lawmaking and oversight also. Every spending ministry and agency will have to give the budget performance report to the legislature. Then we're going to know how institutions spend the money and the rest of that. That's just the process. But quickly, before I close on this matter, you talk about John Molu. John Molu is my former boss. As coming out as a very young man, I was very passionate about him, and I respect him a lot. But I guess what the thought process of Mr. Molu when he was coming back to this administration, raising funds for them, and trying to recall how he ended with former President Eden Johnson's leave. They didn't part way very well, and that's the same administration. Mr. Bouaka was then vice president. And when he started the process of before even the president started a gift announcement, and I'm speculating here, I've been speculative, that the reason why they tried to cut him off, we believe that probably he would deploy the same type of tactics and the rest of that. That's one of the reasons they're doing what they're doing. So, and I was very inclined to believe that there would have been some problems around this time. But I do respect you on the most serious note, but I'm not surprised why he been caught up so soon. There's the same cycle coming from the Unity Party line. Unity Party would never allow Molu to get close to them. No. If Molu didn't know this, some of us, we are very much, we've been around for a little bit now. We know that they wouldn't allow him to do so. The way they parted in 2011, it was not a good way to do. And they believe that he was over inquisitive. That's their mindset. That's the thought process, that he was over inquisitive, and he tried to expose them or do some things and the rest of that. And he was more or less politically, most of his thing was politically motivated and the rest of it. So, but I respect him, but I was not surprised that he been cut off.
Yeah, Tomalin, let me just add a second to
Russell.
Yeah, before Russell comes, just a second.
If somebody is raising money for the government, the person know that the government is generating millions of dollars, and then they see a national budget and see the areas that have been prioritized. The person have a risk concern that we can't be raising the money, and then Jeff, you don't have Charging them to don't have this thing there too. They will raise issues, so it be concerned. But also coming.
I just want to add a second to the statement.
Go ahead.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Russell. Molu, I had a conversation with Molu on the Unity Party. It was just foolhardy for Molu not as a smart young man,
Yes.
not to know that the United Party has never forgiven him.
No.
For
Yes.
telling them they were 3 times corrupt in Judy Bryan government.
Yeah.
You know, they never forgave you on that.
No.
In fact, in 2011, in the year of election, where United Party was seeking a second term, Modu wrote the Ministry of State for Presidential Affairs and was seeking to audit the president. Medina, who said and took that personal that the guy intends to bring Salih down. He wants to audit. You know, so and Bouaka was part of that government.
Yeah, now the brother got the township,
and all of folks surrounding Bouaka, their intentions are clear. They didn't want someone Molu around there. No. Why do you want Molu? Why do you want Gonglo? No, you don't want them there because the intentions are clear.
Russell, Mr. Russell. And on this quick, so we can go around the table.
Yeah, not much to add to all of what have been said about Mr. Jala. I think at the end of the day, as we say here, the proof is going to be in the pudding. I mean, the comments talked about taking the budget up to $1 billion, and a lot of people, found it to be very comical. So now I see folks are embracing the whole idea. now that somebody else has mentioned it, so we'll see what happens. We'll see how that goes. I don't know him personally. I know him by extension and based on what many others. I mean, Mr. Gonglo spoke very highly of him, being a great friend who went to college together, started off college together. And Mr. Gonglo is a fine, decent, honorable man. So we sometimes you can tell, by the company we keep, the character of the folks based on the company that we keep. So we're looking to see how he performs. I mean, he's coming from the international community. It's a completely different system there, the INGO system. So we will see how he performs. So at the end of the day, the proof will be in the pudding. The fine print is what we're going to look at.
Okay, let me start with you, Mr. Russell. We have less than 10 minutes, so we'll start with what's on your mind as today is Friday. What's on your mind, Mr. Russell?
What's on my mind? I mean, the situation in Kitmount is concerning. Is really concerning, and it's disappointing at how those folks were treated. And I will also add my voice and emphatically call for a full investigation to be conducted. And what's also on my mind is that a number of the folks who are in power and authority there, it's pretty difficult to reach them to provide information. We've been trying to get a hold of the police director for a while to try to get clarity on some of the information that is out there. It's been difficult. It would be a good thing if many of the folks there in power. I mean, people are yearning for information and they want to know. And so if they have the information, it's incumbent upon them to share the information with the public and not be selective of how they share information. So those are some of the things that are on my mind, and I just call on the government and the authorities, people who are in charge, to fully investigate the situation in Kitmount, and folks need to be held accountable. So if the officers who fired the fatal shot that killed the person, if it is proven that it was done by an officer, the folks who alleged to have been killed, he needs to be taken off the force. I mean, folks need to be held accountable for what happened in Kitmount.
Well, Gakwa, what's on your mind? 1 minute.
Look, what's on my mind is, one, I want to again commend what Russell's doing in Minnesota. I wish him all the best. Hopefully we can talk about that a little bit more some other day. Wish you all the best, man. I got a call today and they said Russell Malia will go. Government official about an announcement. And right now he getting in a government job, and like, bro, he's a full-fledged American citizen now. That's what I hear. And I said, once a Liberian, always a Liberian. So Russell, don't mind those Liberians who say you should not be public about your running in Minnesota. It will hinder you if you want job. Your neighbor screen was better in Liberia. So I don't care what kind of job you get in Minnesota. You want you will you no one can stop you. No one can take your right away as a Liberian citizen. And if you keep playing with us, you better stop it. You keep playing with us because some of us will not come to Liberia to beg for a job. We'll be employed. We'll employ people then. So the BB month we had, you will not take it away from us because of government job. We will talk. But what's really on my mind, Tomalin, is what's happening in the refugee camp in Ghana. I saw the demolition of those people homes in Ghana. As I speak to you right now, there are people literally sleeping who are going to be sleeping on in the streets tonight. Phone calls have been made. I'm not sure what the government is doing about this. A lot of these families have been in that place for 20 something years. A young woman that I spoke to, she doesn't even sound Liberian no more. She sounds Ghanaian. That things have been put out, and they have nowhere to go. Some of these folks cannot even rent apartments in Ghana. I know this firsthand because when I was a kid, my brother and I, we had to go through a good Ghanaian agent who were able to get us a house in Accra where we went to the elementary. And so, I mean, this is something that the government of Liberia must address and address urgently. The last time I checked, there was this diplomatic relation with the Ghanaian government, and they said that the Liberian government should go and take those people away. Some of them have been there for a long time. The question is, people are asking, why can't they come home? Well, what are they coming home to? That's the question, because some of these guys have been hustling in Liberia, in Ghana for a long time. If they come home, what environment are they coming home to? Are there jobs, vocational jobs, whatever kind of job? I mean, it's just hard for people to just up and just leave something that they've been a part of for all these years. It took a long time for folks to resettle back home, those who left Ghana to resettle back home in Liberia. And so I hope the Joseph Boakai government is looking at this. I hope we hear something about addressing this situation in as soon as possible. And because those Liberian citizens, I ain't gonna lie to you, the Ghanaian deserves to develop their country. They deserve to do this. But this is an example of exactly what I'm talking about. These are countries that put the interests of themselves first. They don't care. I don't see us doing this to any refugee in Liberia. I don't see this happening. We have allowed people to stay in our country, work in our country, make more money in our country than our own citizens. These folks are not standing in line for food, but look at how other people are treating us. I mean, again, I'm not saying this is the Ghanaian government fault, but this is what you do. You have got to put the interests of your people first. I don't care who it is. You've got to put the interests of your people first, because other countries will do just that. All this thing we're doing, we got to stop it. We got. This is why the Liberian passport. What is the benefit when you carry the Liberian passport? Does it hurt you, or is it a good thing when you carry? Look at the U.S. passport. I mean, you can go to airports. They put look at your passport and just look at you and say, "Sir, why are you visiting this country?" "Well, I'm just stopping by. I got a hotel nearby. I'm just stopping." Boom. Have a great day. What is the benefit of carrying the Liberian passport? What is it? We got to put the interests of our people first. We've got to be selfish when it comes to Liberians, when it comes to what it means to be a Liberian. When we hear that Liberian thing, we got to be our brother's keeper. But it starts with the government. So what's happening in Ghana is very unfortunate and it breaks my heart.
1 minute. What's on your mind?
Yes, basically, I will go back to Monrovia. Before then, let me say quick to Mr. Rosa, you've been doing a great job and the rest of that. There's nothing in our country. And most of those that are trying to move with this disinformation about getting an American line, you cannot know. Even the day you intend to contest the presidency, you can fight it to the Supreme Court, because the Supreme Court is very intentional about the issue about if you are born Liberian, you are Liberian. Nothing going to stop any other thing. Nothing whatsoever. Continue the good job here while you continue the good job back home. I would want to go back to the issue of the power theft situation. It is a very good thing that we push this issue of power theft in the country, because it is tantamount to economic sabotage. Economic sabotage. We know this, and we need to encourage Liberians to stop getting involved into power theft, because it is causing problem to the management process and the expansion process and the constant share of electricity across our country, or the Monrovia in its environment. But while we try to detect what folks are involved in by engaging into power theft and the rest of it is wrong. The application to stop it will have to be very legal. We have to operate within the legal framework. There was a legislation about this process that there will be, it's a serious crime in Liberia now. And as a matter of fact, anyone caught engaged into power theft, there should be no bail. You go straight to jail while a case is pending. It is obvious that we have to respect that, but to engage into the kind of a belligerent style is wrong. That young man that allegedly got killed today in the Carway, New Georgia area, is quite unfortunate. We can deploy kind of a workable mechanism that can get everyone involved into this issue. The community will get involved so that we can put halt to the situation unfolding about this power theft thing. It's quite unfortunate that we have lost a very viable person and the head of a family. Today, his family is now grieving, and it's wrong. So folks need to account for this. We'll have to push behind this issue. Folks will have to account. Because if you would just grab someone, he's allegedly involved in power theft, and start to heckle him and pull him to the ground, smashing him against the four-wheel pickup and bundle him like you're trying to bundle. I mean, we don't even treat animals in that way and manner. I want to say Madam Bro being very proactive in doing other engagement in the country in terms of that, but that we have to respect the dignity and the human rights of our citizens. It's important that the dignity and human rights of the Liberian people should be paramount. If we don't prioritize those things and want to subject them to those kind of untoward and inhuman treatment, it's wrong. So I think that's actually on my mind this evening, and my hearts go up to the family as we wait the outcome of the investigation about his demise.
Tomalin, 10 seconds, please. 10 seconds. Just 10 seconds, please. I gotta say this. And again, you come to I will come to Liberia. You won't come address me. Come address me. But Tomalin, Maribor has always been aggressive, man. And at the same Maribor would take kids from school and go flog them in the street. I mean, you can't. Then they said this is what Maribor want. You can't. You gotta be diplomatic, man. You can't take the law in your own hand. You can't be flocking people and doing all of this stuff. We don't live in a war zone. We live in a country of laws, man. So Maribor got to act accordingly here. You can't be taking people, husbands and sons, and start beating them. You don't try that stuff, man. Don't do that. Maribor she has become irresponsible here.
Wow. Calabo, the math genius, what's on your mind?
Tomalin, thank you. Here's what's on my mind. Several things, but I'm going to limit a few. First, we are in a country where there is a growing culture of impunity. So we have a new administration. This new administration needs to show to Liberians that it's not going to be business as usual. We have a situation where police will beat students, police will brutalize protesters who protesting just using the rights given them under the Constitution, and government will use its security institutions to basically brutalize them, in certain instances kill them, and nothing will happen. In less than 38 days of this administration, we've seen all those, we've gone full cycle of those same verses that we thought we should depart from. We've seen the invasion of the University of Liberia under President Boyka. We've seen the killing of armless citizens of Liberia, whether one person. One death is too much. In Kinjor, we've seen destruction of lives and property. We've seen the situation today, in Kawa, over an alleged power theft. When we know it is well established that government officials, people who enter the legislature as a poor person, they've all millionaires. They all turn to big business people. but they are protected by the state. But a poor Liberian trying to earn his living is accused of power theft, meter theft. That is, I think the cost of that meter used to be $75. When I was in Liberia, I understand it's now $150. The person life is taken away for $150. When there are people in the legislature who allocate $30,000 to themselves and walk away with it, unaccounted for. In fact, they write the bill and say this money cannot be accounted for and pass it into law and walk away with it. There is public outcry, but they took the money anyway. What an irony in our country. That others will legislate theft and others lose their life just because they are accused of theft. Those are things on my mind. We're beginning to see all these things. So we have not begun to see the change yet. We've not begun to see the change yet.
30 seconds.
And it is an obligation of President Bouaka to show to us, yes, that he means well. If it is going to be the same old, I will not be surprised. I will go back to John Gunter in 1943 when he went to Liberia and he described how corruption was in Liberia. That book is called Inside Africa. This is a book. It's on Amazon for $5. It was published in 1953.
Wow.
Inside Africa. You read this book, an American explorer, I think anthropologist, he and his wife visited President Tomalin, and he described corruption in Liberia. If you read a book, you think you're living in 2024, in 2024 Liberia. So we need to see a change, and that obligation is on President Bouaka. That's all on my mind.
Do what's on your mind. 1 minute.
Yeah, before I go, I got a quick call from Lofa. I just wanted to ask a question real quick. Lofa, you here?
Thank you, guys. Great show today. Quickly, when is the deadline for asset declaration? I'm yet to hear from Amara Khan. Does anyone know when is the deadline? I just want to ask that. That's on my mind.
All right.
Guys.
Thank you, Lofa.
So let's can help us that. When is the deadline?
Yeah. There's no law that's there's no law. We have to be very clear on it again on that, Lofa. There's no law that basically the law is just saying they should declare assets. There's no law saying that you have a time period for that. So Lofa, you have to understand that there's no law. Now probably he may have declared his assets, but there's no law comparing them to publish the assets whatsoever.
My understanding is that he declared his asset but he didn't make it public, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's what I heard.
Yeah,
like,
so
only deadline,
and he's directing people to go to the LACC or something.
Exactly.
I have speech from Joshua. That's exactly what Joshua did.
And the only thing, and the only deadline that came about,
go to the LACC.
and the only deadline that came about was for outgoing government officials, right? I think it was December 12th.
And that and yes, and they said when you are leaving office, you should declare.
But let me before do come in, let me say just 1 second. I think again I will stay on this platform. Amara Khan is an honorable man.
Very honorable.
Very honorable man. I think that he would do the right thing, and I think Amara Khan knows that there are people in his corner who will check him if he's not doing the right thing. But let's not politicize this matter. He will do the right thing.
But I mean, quickly, sorry, Drew. Robert,
was that include making this public?
I'm inclined to believe that he already done so. He did it.
He will publish it. He will publish it.
The issue about publishing it now, it's going to be now. The issue about publishing it, we need to inform the public, Robert. The issue of public, to have it published, it's not a law.
Yeah, but he's not breaking any law. So those who have been addressing him with this issue needs to understand the processes here, right?
That he did the right thing already. He done the right thing already.
I do 1 minute.
Now he will have to come for himself when he do so.
After the Friday one.
I mean, what's on my mind? The first thing you look, I mean, there's some level of sadness about that news I just broke about the man in Caldwell. I don't think anybody should lose their life because of power theft. But Tomalin, when we say these things, people think that we're being political, right? But it's not the case. There's something with the country, the people. I mean, we're just on the edge. You know, we're on the edge. We talk about, you know, it's time now that we move into using ideas to solve issues, then presenting ourselves as macho, authoritative figures who need to impose on people to get things done. I think that Liberia's problem. But again, though, if you have people in this position that don't have the vision to drive results, the only thing they will go to is being violent as the only answer. So hopefully that man's family get justice. But we shouldn't even be talking about justice. We shouldn't be discussing somebody losing a life, you know, based upon that. Finally, you know, look, hypocrisy, the hypocrisy of Liberians. And we see it throughout. You know, I've never taken a dime from any government. I have no intentions to work in government. I love being free. I love being controversial. I love being passionate about what I do, honestly speaking. But, you know, when people say that, look, true politicians have destroyed Liberia, but I think at times it is time now that we shift the focus on the Liberian people. We are our own problem. You will come on a show and get upset with a young man who's standing up and speaking against the ills of society, but then go and hail the warlords and the criminals and stuff. And then I'm not the problem. My outlook and perspective on the issues in Liberia does not mean that I'm part of the problem. You are part of the problem because you allow abusers, you enjoy the presence of abusers, people who will do the wrong thing. Those are the ones that you support. You don't encourage good people who can stand up for reform in our country. So that's what on my mind. Hopefully we'll move that point, but we wouldn't stop talking, man, because at the end of the day, Liberia deserves better than hypocrisy.
Well, guys, what on my mind is I know on Sunday we'll be hearing from. I know the president will be in your church. We'll be preaching. President, we all go to his church to preach at Clown. And I heard that Prince Johnson will be preaching at his church too.
It'll be interesting.
Interesting. We'll be hearing the sermons from the two churches.
I heard that all the seats at Clown has been booked.
It'll be interesting time at Clown, the church, and then PYG church. We'll hear what happened, and then also. The issue also is about I just got information that according to the police director, now officers were injured, and so we hopefully on Monday they will trash we'll get all of the facts. But he said now officers were injured in this.
You invite him on the show?
I will invite him.
He doesn't expect to go in community and kill people, and the officers don't get injured.
We'll find out on Monday. We'll find out everything. Weekend we work the phones during the weekend, make sure we get all this thing done. But guys, look. It's been a great show, but you know, last on my mind is Winfred Russell. Look, Winfred, you are my choice of mayor of Monrovia. I'll be honest with you. If Liberia was now a black country,
brought a lot to the
you have been a mayor. I know your plan for that city. I mean, you have the Rwanda model, but because somebody can do build boats and then clean the city for inauguration, so they say, well, get a person a job. No problem.
That's not even a standard for mayorship to begin with.
That is society about Liberia.
My friend,
mayor brought their mayor of Liberia.
Do I have to say that?
But Daru have been giving someone the mayor one of these.
No, Tomalin, my brother there, but my brother.
Man, I like my man.
My man, but you're reaching your hand too far, man.
You know, but again,
you're reaching your hand too far.
Russell, I just told Mo Russell about that election yesterday. On Tuesday that happened in Minnesota, and I really want you to be in the state or Senate legislature. Just take us home with it.
Thank you, guys, and it's been a wonderful show, wonderful time always to come here and share thoughts and share ideas about how we can move Liberia forward. So I want to say thank you to everyone associated with this platform and the listeners here, the viewers, all of them. Like to say thanks for your support and your contribution. On Tuesday was the Democratic Party caucus here in Brooklyn Park, District 38A, and we exceeded expectation. We got a huge turnout from the Liberian community. There were a lot of folks who supported us, who came through. The pastors, the religious leaders across the board. Many folks came through. It snowed that day. We've had a pretty mild and warm winter. That's it's for the history books, but for some reason, there was some light snow on Tuesday. That didn't dampen the people's enthusiasm. People came out in large numbers and supported us. So I wanted to say thanks to everyone out there for coming through. And at the end of the day, everyone's saying this is about Liberia, but it's not over yet. You know, it's not over yet. We have the convention that is coming up. So the convention is going to be April the 13th, Saturday, April 13th. It's going to be an all-day affair. So all of the folks who sign up as delegates on Tuesday, those are the folks who are going to be voting on Saturday, April the 13th, to endorse a candidate, a Democratic candidate, who's going to go to the general election in November, and is going to meet the likely opponent is going to be a Republican. So we would like to call on everybody who showed up for us on Tuesday that you have to show up now on Saturday, April the 13th, to make this happen. We overwhelmed our opponent about almost 5-1. This is a Liberian bastion, Brooklyn Park, this whole region. We have about 15,000 Liberians here. So even those who couldn't show up had to work. They voted absentee. So it was very positive to see Liberians come through. So I'd like to say thanks to all of you, collectively and individually, for all of your support and encouraging folks. So we have to continue to encourage our folks to come out because we need representation in St. Paul. The Minnesota State Legislature, Liberians, even though we're one of the largest immigrant group here in this state and the largest in the U.S., we don't have any political representation. So it is critically important that we show up, and we've started it already. We hope, hopefully, we ended up on April at the 13th, and after that, when we get the endorsement, and then we move on to general election in November 5th. So that's how the process is going to work.
Well, best wishes and all the best. But Russell, I know you will do a great job once you get to that legislature. But guys, quickly, we raised some money for this guy called Andrew Massaquoi, right? But after the fundraiser, Edwina Dillon, Peter Lynn Logan, Kovanya, and Johnny and Debbie contributed altogether $65 extra. So Lofa, people are I don't know what they're suggesting. They say that the guy should publicly give the guy the money on next week Monday. What we're gonna do? I know he went at 1,800. We raised more than that. That was good for we went above the threshold. But I hope Lofa can address that issue on Monday. In the weekend, they can reach to the guy, and either they give to him in the public. I don't know, but whether it's for their own security concern, I don't know. But they want to make sure that the money is presented to him so that he can do his surgery and so forth. But the money, I think so far the money is almost, I think I'm mistaken, it's almost close to almost $3,000, $65. But I want to say thank you again. But anybody get any thoughts on it before we end the show?
Tomalin, I think that and people have been calling me yesterday about that, and one of the questions they were asking is whether or not we did our due diligence as a platform. And I said that, well, you can't blame us for anything yet. We're trying to help someone who have a story. So with regards to the money, since the money was raised for a surgery, I think that we need this is just a suggestion, help facilitate. Let's identify the hospital, right? Because there's a possibility here that you give that man that money. We're not sure if a surgery has been done. And then there's also a possibility where there could be further surgery recommendations after the first phase, right? And so if we don't know the hospital he intends to go, we will not verify whether or not surgery has been done, right? And so those who contributed to this cause, I think they need to be kept updated on the progress of this situation. And so if I was doing this, I would not necessarily put the money into his hands. We will open up an account, identify the hospital. Well, but at least we need to identify the hospital so that we know that the money is directly going to the hospital and for that purpose, instead of giving it to him personally. Because he does anything with it, I mean, it's a done deal. He comes back again.
I think I hope the advisory board, the chairman, the advisory board. I think Lofa, the advisory board for TCA, I think they should step in and handle that issue because that's money you handle it. Because,
Judge. But quickly, I think we should just trust because we listen to his story, right? Because to identify the hospital and do this and I agree somehow with Robert, but to identify the hospital, they're not giving the money will take some time and what have you. We should trust him, and that's the first time. I think he brought his story. It was a very pathetic story. That's why we came in the way we did. Because, I mean, if you were to name the hospital, if it's going to be in Accra, he said it's going to be in the Kwadabu Hospital. That's the biggest military hospital in Accra, Ghana. So, I mean, he said the Kwadabu Hospital. If that's the area, because to wait and say, who are we going to give the money to? Who's going to do this? Who's going to coordinate those areas? It will be taking some time. That's my suggestion. But I think we should just trust the guy. And then he move him because that's his story. It's about his own.
Yeah, so
I think we can discuss this off here.
So Lofa and the advisory board, you guys can handle it and let us know about Monday what will be the final say.
But the only thing, maybe when he received the money privately home, then he can count the air and pronounce that he got the money and he'll be going this day for his treatment. That would be okay.
So, meanwhile, tomorrow we'll be at the high table in Germantown, Maryland. We're having more dry red potato greens, fried okra, and butter.
Tomalin, I got a shout out to Amar Corner. He's watching. Shout out to the people's senator, Senator Amar Corner. That's my senator, and I know that Amar Corner will do the right thing. He's an honorable man, like I always say.
He's always done the right thing,
and I know that he will do the right thing. Amar Corner, thanks for tuning in and thanks for watching.
Yeah, and AMK. Let me say this also quickly. AMK is one of those that. Who always, and he's one of those generational leaders that have promoted and projected liberal image very excellently, and I will never believe whatsoever that.
So you guys are vouching that he's
finance minister the Sambia Toy.
So you guys are vouching that he's going to make his asset public, right? His asset declaration will be public.
Listen, that would be
so we can count on you guys, right?
Mr. Russell, that would be on his own volition, right? But I believe that he will do nothing contrary to the legal tenure of the country. That would be on his own volition to do that. But he's been a great leader of our country, and he's been one person that has tapped into the young people and the rest of them. This for the right thing.
Peewee, don't even know the question, man. Do you believe that? No, Robert, hold on 1 second. Do you believe that Amara Corner was a better finance minister than Sambia Toy?
Listen, let me say this. So you want to push that to me? I will say this clearly to you. Listen. Let me say this. Amara Corner, one of the best finance ministers ever LeBron have seen. And I will systematically say that off here. I would say with no idea of anything will have stopped.
Was he better than Samuel Toy?
He's one of the best finance ministers LeBron.
Was he better than Samuel Toy?
One of the best and enterprising finance ministers.
That's the question.
He's one of the best.
He was better than Samuel Toy. Okay, you said that he was better than Samuel Toy.
I'm not. Do you want to listen to me? I said to you, he's one of the best and enterprising finance ministers ever.
Leave that one alone, man. Leave it alone.
I'm not trying.
I think that he was better than Samuel Toy. But can you say that he was better than
Robert, on a serious note.
Let me know.
But listen to what I said, right? Right? I will choose. Okay, let me answer this way quickly, Robert. Quickly. Let me answer this way. I will choose quickly. I will choose Amara Corner as my finance minister of Liberia.
Okay.
And Sylvester, I have one question. How did he build his wealth?
Come again?
How did he build his wealth?
Thanks for being.
Mario, before he came to Liberia to take the job to work in the office of the president as the communication director in the president's office. He worked here in the U.S. As a refugee boy back in Guinea. He worked there with RRC. I can't remember the name.
No.
He came to the U.S. He worked in the U.S. He came to the U.S. He worked in the U.S. He worked with the government of Liberia from the Ministry of Planning, and then the Ministry of Finance, and then the World Bank. So I'm not going to be as first as
yes, but the truth of the matter is he built his wealth while he was Minister of Finance.
I think
his work prior to that.
One of the issues we're having in Liberia is our focus on transparency and accountability, right? So we are a administration that was.
Do you know that he brought the Open Budget Initiative? He exposed about the Open Budget Initiative. He brought accountability to our budget system. The only minister that brought the open budget.
Gentlemen,
Right?
Can you let me talk?
Yes, so accountability. Give me it for it. Give it to him.
Can you let me talk?
Let him
Go
take
ahead.
the example of Musa Ability. Let him take Musa Ability example. And
Professor,
put
can
his
you let me
information
talk?
I'm getting information that Amar Kone is one of the people they're looking at for 2029. So I see why
Let me
guys
say this.
already.
I'm saying he's progressive. He's progressive.
Let me say this.
Go ahead, Robert.
Let me say this. Let me say this.
Robert,
No,
you
one second.
are
Robert,
supposed
please,
to
1 second.
You are
Yeah, 1
supposed
second.
on the same issue, so we should speak.
No, but no. We're not listening. No,
No,
I want to make this statement. I want to make a very strong statement, and I want to be on record here. I was a critic of the man in question, and until I met the man in question, and there were serious conversations around Mondaus. Amar Kone was not a perfect finance minister, but he did what he could do, and I'll set this on the record. Amar Kone would not have been any recommendation for his dismissal in the first 2 or 3 years of any administration, unless he willingly left. I said to the administration of President George Weah that if I was President George Weah, it's not that Senator is not a smart man, because if he weren't, they would not have consulted with him during the Ellen administration. But I didn't think that his economic policy were actually yielding the kind of results anticipated. Amar Kone is a standout character. And when it comes to the declaration of assets and the publication of access, I can say 100%, Mr. Russell, that Amar Kone will respect the laws by doing what the laws require. And if we're asking for him to publish his assets, I think that there has to be this understanding that not doing so, in as much as we want total transparency, and he will do the right thing. He will do that, but we have got to be very clear that he is not breaking the law for not doing so. But under no circumstances, will anyone, even with his imperfection, question whether or not he represents transparency and whether or not he's a standout character. I can bet anything. Amar Kone will always.
In defense of the people who are putting this argument, let the man just declare his asset. It's
Exactly.
Even Amar Kone will be honest and say, you know what? He welcomes the fact that people are transparent enough for him. The right thing to do is to declare your asset. Let's not defend that. Truthfully speaking.
That's it.
Dude.
So let me ask a question. Let me ask a question to you guys. So I'm getting information that Amara Kone will be on the ballot 2029. So you guys think he'll make a good president?
But they should have elected him. But Bobby made a mistake in 2017.
Let me be honest with you.
VP pick.
He can be a good president.
It's a whole different story.
I don't think it was
Tomalin.
Yeah.
No, but the question is, is he qualified?
I don't think it would be a smart idea.
He's overly qualified. Is that asking what a chairman Ben? As asking what a chairman Ben is qualified to be CDC chairman. The chairman is qualified.
No, I beg you.
Let me make my statement on this. Ben, you're coming. 1 minute. Give me 1 minute. Here's what I will say though. Robert, to stick on the issue of a law written by a corrupt legislature, a very corrupt legislature, that you can only declare your asset and keep it in the bank or in a closet, in the suitcase at LACC. It's a good law, and people should use that. I think that's far-fetched. We have been banking on the Weah administration and previous administration for lack of transparency and accountability. Mm-hmm. Here, you have to seize on the moral high ground. You declare your asset and publish it. Others have been doing that. That is the expectation of the public.
I'm not disagreeing with you. That's not my contention. I'm not disagreeing with you. What I'm saying is,
Mr. Gonglo.
No, but I'm not disagreeing with you.
You're convinced that the legislative branch is corrupt?
I'm saying, look, if there's something
you agree that the legislative branch is corrupt?
It's corrupt.
But you also disagree that CDC is not a domestic terrorist organization.
Oh, but that's far.
Yeah, man, too, man.
Come on, man.
Are you serious?
The man brought the argument today. He's self-esteem.
Are you serious? Are you serious with calling CDC a domestic terrorist organization?
No. I didn't want to speak to Egg. You got his sign.
Dude,
Hold on
that's
one second.
below
Let
the
me grab
belt
my
for
train
you,
of thought.
man.
Let me go back.
No,
The Revolutionary
Dude,
National
that's
Union,
below the belt
CDC,
for you.
is a
That's
terrorist
below the belt.
organization. I have the facts. Ben, let's use
But to ask
Ben.
the
Let's
question,
see,
and
Ben.
That's not facts, man.
My name is
What
the
are you at?
facts. I have
That's
stated the
below the
facts on the
belt.
show. I presented the facts. I
Dude.
presented the facts on the show.
Let's focus on the asset declaration
Prove me
thing.
wrong.
So
Prove me wrong. You guys only want to be supportive of an organization that is destructive. That's the problem.
Bungalow.
You
If something's wrong with the law,
You
Bungalow, if
disagree.
something's wrong with the law, if something's
Go
wrong
ahead,
with the
Dave.
law,
Now you
we
show
have
them.
a new
Lofa, you
legislative
got
body.
feedback. Lofa.
They have the authority to go back and rectify what's wrong with the law.
Then disagrees with me.
This
And
right
you know,
now
this is my
following the
problem
law,
with Ben.
and I'm telling you,
This is my problem with Ben. And you know what, though? I will call Ben after this particular show, and we'll continue this conversation. It is
Okay,
wrong.
so
Ben
can
wants
we
to
say something?
disagree that CDC is not a domestic. The National Youth League of CDC is not a domestic terrorist organization when the
Look,
facts exist.
let me
These
say
people are
this.
being sponsored to cause chaos in the country. How can you be in denial of that?
Guys,
How could you?
can I say something, please? And I apologize that I had to take my wife to the airport. So
Wait, nice try. Keep telling lies. The day I declare my asset, Librarians will know because
what is this?
on those conditions I will lead.
Which one did
American.
Robert and Sylvester lie.
So American is saying that nice try. Keep telling lies.
said he has
The day I
not
declare my
declared his
assets,
asset.
Librarians will know because
see?
I will publish it. Under no condition I will
Amara said he
lead.
has not declared his
the party
asset.
on
So
current
Robert
prevented-
and
No.
Sylvester
Don't
lied
quote me
No,
wrong.
let's
Don't
not.
quote
Let's
me
not.
wrong.
Let me just say this, right, Ben?
No. Wait. Don't quote me wrong. Amara Corner was responding to a
Why are
comment
you removing
about
the thing? I put it there
about him
purposely to
not-
show
no,
something.
One second, Lofa. Amara Corner was
Go ahead.
responding to a question about him not releasing his declaring his access past the deadline. There's no established deadline.
No,
There's
it wasn't.
established
No, it
deadline.
wasn't
And so
about the
my point is-
deadline.
Huh?
It wasn't. The question asked Amara was, will you declare your asset? And when? That's when he made that response. He said he will declare and publish his asset. Guys, that's exactly what he said. The post is still out there. That's why I screenshot that. And now he's asking him to declare and publish his asset.
Okay, so has he broken any promises? Has he broken that promise?
Has he declared his asset and published it?
But he won't. Even if he hasn't declared his access, we have got to wait until he declares and not
What's holding
publish.
this
But
man?
we don't have that
What's holding
confirmation
him
yet.
for
So
that long?
he hasn't
This man
broken
was
any
supposed
law
to be the
with regards
transparent
to that.
czar.
So the debate here is this, right? Will he declare his access, and will that access?
That's
be
what the
published?
people are
I
asking,
believe
and we're
I'm
asking that he do
as
it.
a standard
We
individual
gotta
will do the
be
right
honest.
thing. He will follow the law, and he will do the right thing. But you can't say the man has broken the law.
Guys, let me
No one's speaking of the law. No one's saying he broke the law. All we spoke of is the fact that he made a promise. He made a promise that he's not even living to.
Amara Corner will do the right thing as per
Let him
the
do
law.
it. Let him
It's
do
on
it.
ready. It's on ready.
But let me ask a question. I'm
already.
trying to figure out.
Amara Corner will be on the ballot. I heard. Wow, it'll be a tough race.
I'm trying to figure out if I'm trying to figure out.
Nobody knows what will happen tomorrow morning.
So I'm trying to figure out something, guys. First of all, I think like Pee-wee said, look, I trust and believe that Amara will declare his assets if he hasn't done it yet.
I think
if he has done it, I'm going to encourage him publicly to make it public. I'm going to encourage him to make it public because this is what Amara Kone told me when he was running, that he was coming into government again to do things way differently and better. I think Musa has declared his asset. If I the talk of the town, if I funny thing now,
he's the standard.
If I funny thing, what I found very fascinating, how Musa is no longer a criminal. People who said Musa was a criminal, now they see Musa got $32 million in assets and his whole network. Everybody now all of us say, "Oh my God, Musa rich, Musa get money." So
if I agree in the first 30 days, Musa is a lawmaker of the movement now.
Yes, I think if you giving lawmaker
the gold standard, Musa is the gold standard.
He is the gold standard.
Yes,
and we must encourage him. But let me also say this:
and I'm asking
all of this vein pumping. Let's also pump our vein on the president and the vice president.
Thank you.
Their campaign will be different. I hear Duke talking about domestic terrorism. I haven't heard Duke call out the president that he supported in the second round
to publish his asset declaration.
I have not heard him say that.
Can I
But
respond?
I hear him fascinated about a political organization that has lost power.
All right.
And it's in the rear view mirror, but trying to recalibrate. It's fine. It's well within your place, Duke.
They may have lost power, Ben, but they're a significant force.
Oh, no, I agree. I'm not saying he shouldn't talk about them. You see, that's the difference between right? I believe CDC government need to be held accountable. I believe wherever, and I agree with Duke. The gold standard is when we have CDC government, we compare CDC government with Ellen government. Right now, we're going to compare Boyka and we're going to compare CDC. Right? So I don't have a problem. I would just say it for the record. I believe if Senator Amara Kone from Bapolu County has not declared his assets, I will encourage him to please do so quickly in the short period of time and make it public, because I think a standard has been set. I will also call on the president. You know, the Unity Party people have made it. You know, the president declared asset, he did a fanfare, he carried it there, but I hear nobody pumping their veins about him making it public. For 6 years, I heard them beat on George Weah because they said George Weah said that he was protecting his children, right? So I think the new government needs to set a standard, and the president needs to take that lead. My last thought would be, Duke, look, I know you have your feelings and it's strong about CDC and George Weah, but I think it's just too low. If coming from you, I think it's just too low for you to call CDC a domestic terrorist organization. I mean, that is strong word, very, very strong words, by the way, right? I don't know, like you say, you got evidence to show that CDC, when they say an organization is a domestic terrorist organization, I don't know if you what gauge you are gauging it on, but I think it is. I think it is far-fetched. Is CDC perfect? Hell, freaking no. CDC is far from perfect. But to say CDC is a domestic terrorist organization, I think it's flat out wrong, and I think you need to. Retract that statement.
Tommy, can I close because I have? Please give me the chance. Please, no. Just 1 second. Please give me the chance. Let me close because I have to get off. I have some important things to do, and I think it's only fair. Go ahead.
No, you're going to talk. He didn't talk to me. He talked to you. So you're going to talk. I just want to add that Musa is the first elected official to make his asset public.
No, Dillon did. In all fairness, Dillon did. Dillon did.
Yes, Senator Dillon did that.
Dillon. There was a couple of. Yeah, the man made asset public, man, Robert. My man, that is most. He did. Go do the investigation. Yeah. There are a few of them who have done it.
On the executive side. On the executive side, Dr. Mario Yakobo, acting head of EPA, has published his assets also.
Yeah.
Wow, that's good.
Thank you.
Let you go now. Let you go.
Thank you. Let me say one of the things that I enjoy about this show that we can challenge each other. And all my life, that's what I enjoy doing. I don't, go on the side of people on the popular opinion. I think Ben, you should know me by now, because if that was the case, I would have been running behind you to CDC headquarters, and that was not the case. Let me say this. I don't need anybody to lecture me on the context of the definition of domestic terrorism. And I think it's disrespectful. And I think when we come on the show and try to suggest that my understanding of this domestic terrorism is wrong, then the problem is with you. Go and read the definition of what a domestic terrorist organization is. The CDC Revolutionary Youth Movement embodies everything domestic terrorism. What are my accusations based on? These group of individuals are being pushed by a man who is a sanctioned criminal for all of the things listed that fits the description of a domestic terrorist. In addition, these individuals have been operating as a paramilitary organization and raining terror on the people of Liberia. Should I remind you about what happened during the protests when these individuals were used to conduct counter-protests, brutalized students at the University of Liberia, and there's been accusations, including those references made in the United States government report. Johnson Koji turned his office.
Is the police a domestic terrorist organization?
No, 1 second,
Ben. I'm asking you, is the police, is the Liberian National Police a domestic terrorist organization?
Ben,
guys.
No, I'm asking you. What answer that question? Is the Liberian National Police a domestic organization?
Who are responsible for Tilia?
The Morocco State Corporation. Where were you, Ben? Ben, I know you. I know you're a supporter of CDC. You're obsessed with George Weah, right? You believe in the whole fairy tale of George Weah. I'm not a worshiper. Ben, let me remind you, I have never taken a dime of money from government. I have not been sponsored by no politician. Nobody will tell you that if actually give me a dime to speak on the behalf. I speak with conviction, and I will go places that a lot of people won't dare to go, because you know what? It shows courage. If that's the difference between you and I, let it be so. But I'm not going to hold back. The Revolutionary Youth Movement, or CDC, is a domestic terrorist organization. And listen to me, Ben. In the few days and leading up to months, there will be a lot of conversations about those who are feeding the behaviors of CDC, those who are behind the protests in Grand Cape County, the individuals who are going at night and actually having conversation to cause problems in the Republic of Liberia. You can continue to sugarcoat it, but we expose those people. So I don't have regrets. I understand what a domestic terrorist organization is, and that particular body within CDC fits everything. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Duke. So let me say this. You see, that's the beauty about closing argument, right? It's your opinion. It's your opinion. But your opinion don't mean it's fact. And Duke, you see, you are talking your opinion.
But that is the problem, Duke. Let me interrupt you. Let me go on.
Interrupt you, Duke.
People don't talk. People, you been showing a lot of whole politics. Ben myself cross talking. Ben made a point, and I pushed him back.
No. You guys are not cross talking. You are interrupting him.
Ben, your opinion is not a fact either.
Exactly. But you didn't listen to what I was about to say.
Ben, your opinion is not fact either. You agree with that?
But Duke, you did not listen. You have not given me chance. You have not given me chance.
No, I just needed what I was saying. That's all.
You have not given me chance to finish what I was saying.
Go ahead and feed on the battle. I know. Go ahead.
What I was about to say to you, right, was that your opinion is not fact. My opinion don't necessarily mean it's fact. It's opinions. Everybody on the show got opinion. Every one of us. Opinions like noses. We all got one. That's what I'm trying to say. But I have a right, just like you do, to disagree with your opinion, and you can disagree with my opinion. And the second thing I want to say, right? There's no reason why, again, nobody's trying to censor anybody. I disagree with you that CDC, the Coalition for Democratic, the Congress of Democratic Change, by extension, the Coalition for Democratic Change, is a domestic terrorist organization. And if your definition of domestic terrorism mean people having there's been disturbance or threat on people and stuff like that, that's why I ask you.
No. It's a paramilitary organization being used, right? To violate the rights of the people of Liberia.
But Chief, when I listen, you talk, and I listen to you. I ask you the question just now.
Guys, it's 1 o'clock in Liberia.
Yeah, we gotta go. That's why I asked the question just now. Will you consider the Liberian National Police a domestic terror organization?
The Liberian, listen. Ben,
I think Ben,
at the beginning of the show, we did highlight instances.
I agree was killed in
I've been bringing them all.
Terrorism, we can all agree.
I can't see them all.
I disagree. I know, Ben. I know you love George Weah. I'm not
Duke is so respected on this.
Duke, let me ask you a question. Let me ask you a question, Duke. Are you a worshiper of Joe Boyka?
No, I'm not a worshiper of George Weah.
So then why are you calling me a worshiper of George Weah?
Because you are obsessed with George Weah. You get upset. You're the new Keff Hassan.
Duke, you know who's upset with George Weah?
You know what I've done on this show?
No, you know who's obsessed with George Weah? I think you are the one obsessed with George Weah.
Let me say this.
You don't utter a word without calling George Weah name.
You know what I've done? On this show, I have criticized both George Boyka and George Weah.
Oh my God, Duke.
Repeatedly. You became silent.
All right, Duke. I hear you.
George Weah. And yesterday you agreed.
All right, Duke. I hear you.
That you are now speaking.
Duke, we agree.
See why we upset you.
Duke, I agree with you. I agree with you that you're now upset. Okay?
Then for now, you tell the show that we're teaching George Weah all day.
Duke, you know what is obsession? Obsession is the moment you open your mouth, is you call the person name.
What I mentioned in the name.
Let's move forward.
I am not getting paid by
Guys,
George Weah. I'm never
we'll
receiving a
cut
dime
it
from
out.
George Weah.
Oh, who getting paid by George Weah?
I'm just saying this to you.
Guys,
I've never
we're not
received a
trying
dime
to
from
do
George
that.
Weah.
My man, Duke, where, man?
Let's not do that.
That's not what
You
I'm
gotta- you see, that's your problem.
And speaking on
That's
national
your problem.
issues.
Your
And I
problem
think the
is,
message
your
of
problem
that's
is,
the president. The reason why you are upset with me.
my man, Duke, you think speaking the loudest mean you saying something?
No, that's not true.
Duke.
Speaking the loudest don't mean you saying something.
So we can have it without everybody else.
Guys, good
And
night.
I will still put a better argument than you.
Guys,
Good night, man. Yeah.
Let's do it. I challenge you, Ben. One-on-one. You can
Duke, we can have that conversation later. Guys, let's have that conversation later. We'll consider please. I'm gonna end this show, guys. I'm the guys in the studio back home. Thank you so much.
Bravo, I see you dancing on Facebook.
Thank you, guys.